Are you tired of amusement parks with hidden liberal agendas? Are you sick of woke progressives ruining your family's vacation? Are you white? Well, come on down to Republican Disney. You don't have to be white. That was a demographic survey question for marketing purposes. I don't see color.
Are you tired of amusement parks full of bigotry? Are you sick of uneducated rubes ruining your family's vacation? Do you crave fun and guilt? Well, come on down to Democratic Disney. We're the only amusement park in America exclusively dedicated to diversity, equity, inclusion, real science, true history, and other morally unambiguous things that we can't debate anymore because of Nazis.
Republican Disney has all the wholesome family fun you could want without any of the dangerous propaganda the radical left uses to indoctrinate children. No CRT, no grooming, no drugs or sex or math. Just a place where you can be proud of who you are and where you come from. But by which I mean America. I do not mean that in a racial way.
Here at Democratic Disney, we believe in fighting the man on behalf of the little guy. So join the resistance and team up with the White House, the Senate, the House of Representatives, and all of Hollywood and academia to say, we're the little guy fighting the system.
You can meet your favorite Republican Disney princesses like Cinderella, a classic American success story who worked hard, didn't complain, and after she met her husband, stopped wearing shoes. Or Ariel from The Little Mermaid, a real nice looking young lady who doesn't talk. Or maybe even Snow White, who, damn it, no, okay, stop. No, I know what you're gonna say, it's not about that.
You want to explore the universe? Well, shame on you. You should visit Don't Go to Space Mountain, where you can yell at an animatronic entrepreneur for trying to build a spaceship with his own money, employing thousands of people. They should be fixing world hunger. Space is for taxpayer money. You'll have a blast at Little San Francisco. Can you avoid stepping in poop? Can you get a building rezoned? No, you cannot.
Visit Little Iraq and be greeted as liberators. Can you find the WMDs? Doesn't matter. Fireworks!
Do you like fireworks? Well, every evening, Antifa lights fire to our security guard. We've replaced all of the offensive robots in Pirates of the Caribbean with new robots, built by forced meager labor in China. Every day at noon, we have a protest rally where liberal arts majors dress up like ninjas and break shit. It's a small world after all, so let's divide it equally, by force if necessary.
The people who pressed on with that American creed, yes, we can.
Yes, together, we will make America
back and stuff, and I don't want to react to a react.
Yeah. The lady redundant.
Be a dude inside of a dude trying to fuck two dudes.
Alright, y'all. Black Cracker at it again. Welcome to today's episode of Unintelligent Intellectuals. Yeah, that's gonna stick. That's gonna. I like that one more than Ebony and Ivory. Yeah, that's gonna be a solid foundation for us.
Started off again with something putrid.
Yeah, get it out the way, man. Pop those anal beads out.
I didn't even eat anything bad. Oh, never mind. I have Popeyes.
Yeah, no, I'm old man. Okay. Let's finish up with Doctor Strange, just to get the little shindigs out the way. Same format as last time. We'll pretend to follow some kind of structure in our conversations.
Okay.
But,
so what are we on with Strangey Poo?
we already talked about all the injected wokeness with the moms and like the women's strength and the token black guy at the wedding, and so it's like we touched on that stuff, but there's some other stuff I wanted to mention. I mean, if we want to talk about like overall, like I thought it was what made the movie really good. It was the whole point that he had a moment of growth out of it, and it was kind of cool to see out of a character like Strange, because he's a pretty established character. He's not really like one of those guys that are like, oh yeah, well I have this kind of like fundamental flaw, and this is like a level of or a journey that I have to go through in order to grow as a person or anything like that. You kind of just saw like, no, he's a hard worker. You know, he does not like a privileged lifestyle, not like he was handed anything to give him a leg up on life or anything like that. He just take it as someone who he's a little pompous, but he works hard and he's good at working hard, and now he's really awesome. And yeah, he went from cutting people up to being a magician. So it's like, nice.
Uh-huh.
But then in this one, it's just kind of like, and you've seen him in a few movies since then, in the Spider-Man movies and the Thor movie Ragnarok, and then in the Infinity War, blah blah blah. And like, still, it's not like, oh, he's just established this is who he is, and he knows all this magic, cool. But in this movie, there was just like this moment, where it's kind of like a throwaway moment at the wedding where he's sitting down talking to the one who just became married.
I honestly
Christine.
don't think that scene made any sense to me.
Oh yeah. Well,
Because you always
when
have
they
to
sit
have
down
the
talking
last
about
cut.
it.
Isn't that what she says? Or you always have to have the.
Oh no, you always have to hold the scalpel. Yeah, or the knife or something like that. Well, the scalpel's a knife. But I thought that was significant though because.
But like, what else is he supposed to do if he's the best? Like.
Yeah. Like that's what. Like in the moment, I was like, okay. I mean, man, he's a big dick boy, you know. Like that's what he does.
But like, no, I'm saying like that line. I don't know how that makes any sense with the movie.
Oh, okay.
Like he has to be in charge.
In control. Well, it's like I took it to mean
And
like
have to solve the problems.
well, like after everything's said and done, like it's almost like he was on top of like so there was that moment.
It was too simplistic and stupid. That's what I mean.
Oh, I think well
If
maybe
she like said some throwaway add-on thing where it, like you're like, oh, you never ask for help or something like that. It'd be like, oh yeah, no, I get it. Instead, it's just like you always have to hold the knife last, Stephen, and then like the whole movie is like, well, why do you need the book? And the book is the problem. And then it's just like, oh, fuck this.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I don't even like Marvel anymore.
I loved it, man. It was good. Like the way that I took it, and maybe it's me like looking at it like giving it more praise than it should.
They're
Like,
just doing too much. That's why I mean I don't like it.
Oh, I
Like,
see. Like yeah.
It was just Captain America. It's like, oh, he's got something that he's got to overcome, and then it's like, oh, I can just watch
follow.
this. It's like, oh my god, just give me a more simplistic existential crisis that he has to deal with instead of just like these fucking like they're trying to be a real movie while not being a real movie.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. It's like yeah, this is comic book and
Like there's Joker, and then there's Batman.
yeah.
Right? And then there's like Dark Knight.
Well, like
and then
that's-
there's
yeah.
like, you know,
Those are intricate.
then there's like Batman Forever. Like
Yeah.
they're not deviating from what they are.
No, I'll follow. And those guys are.
Whereas like
very-
Marvel's trying to like be both.
That yeah. When I was younger, you know, that's why I like DC more. And I didn't really have the words for it, but like the characters were just more interesting. They're more complex in DC. And then Marvel is just like, oh, good guy, bad guy, boom, bang, pow. Except for X-Men, where it's like, oh, you're dealing with all these other complications in the world. At least when I was a kid, when I was watching it, and of course, Spider-Man the best. But yeah, like they had this level of complexity in DC that didn't exist in the Marvel universe. But I thought this element, and I didn't know anything about Doctor Strange.
I'm more so saying like you have Batman Begins, then you have Dark Knight,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like the new Batman.
Yeah.
They're very different, but they're not trying to be each other.
Yeah. I follow what you're saying. So
Like Bruce Wayne didn't have some type of real complexity. It was just his parents are fucking dead.
No, I follow. No, I think he
Not,
did have...
I mean, not an Oscar performance of complexity. That's what I mean.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah,
Marvel's trying to dip into complexity
Okay, I see what
while
you're saying.
still trying to be a cocksucker.
Okay, well, I'm not familiar with Doctor Strange, the comic book series. Because, I mean, I watched the Saturday morning cartoon, so that's my only exposure to the Marvel or DC universes. But from what I've seen, like, I haven't seen what Doctor Strange is, but I can imagine a magician in that realm, like, you're going to be doing something that's, like, a high level of complexity. So he's going to be running into more complex things than, you know, your standard, oh, I'm a guy with a shield, or I'm a guy with this billion-dollar equipment and this genius level engineering skills, or God of Thunder. Like there's a level of complexity that I can't think comes with a magician or magic that doesn't really touch anybody else. So that I was looking at it from that perspective going in, and at first I thought it was like a throwaway line where it's like, oh, you always have to hold the scalpel.
Well, I know it had something to do with it. That's why I was just like,
No.
I didn't think it was a throwaway line. I was like, this is gonna come back.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was cool because I think the way that it played out in the movie, or the way that I looked at it, and admittedly, I'm probably giving it more praise than.
I just don't know how it translated to ruining entire universes.
Well, I looked at it as he always it's kind of like you said, like not that he doesn't ask for help, but like he has the answer. So like he already always knows if he's in control, that's how he fixes it. Like in the first one,
I guess that makes sense.
when he gets into the accident and then he's just like, oh, my fingers are fucked up, like what's going on? And then they're just like, oh, you're in an accident. And he's like, well, how come like the surgeon didn't do this? Like, oh, we tried the best we could. And he's like, they're like, oh, yeah, nobody could have done it. He's like, I could have. And like those kind of like blunt acknowledgement. Everyone's like, you're probably right. You probably could have. But it's like, so it's like that was never resolved. And like it kind of showcased like he kind of went to this journey of humility in the Doctor Strange movie, but later on, once he got a like secure grasp on the magic, it's like, oh yeah, I'm Big Dick Boy again. Like even when he went in and he was training, he was just like, what are those books? Like, oh, those are forbidden. He's like, yeah, anyways, oh, got it. Oh, this is what you're doing. Oh, you're borrowing from this. Haha, found out your secret. Oh, you're gonna be the best of us. He's like, yeah, I'm a Big Dick Boy. So all throughout all these movies,
You really love saying that.
Big Dick Boy. Yeah. Such a pertinent phrase. King Dingaling. But so all throughout the movies, and every time you see him, even like, oh, I could see into the future. This is how we beat Thanos. There's this complex way to do it, and like you're gonna understand it till it all fleshes out in the one after that. And it's like, oh damn, all up to that moment, everyone cries, blah blah blah. Now here's this movie, and she says that line, and I'm just like, man, like what? But he got it though.
I just have one foot out the door on Marvel anyway. So.
Oh, I follow. Well, let me try to try to reel you back in, at least in this momentary scenes or series. Like in
I
this
still
movie.
watched the movie before you.
Yeah, you did. I was just like, nah.
Just because I have one foot out doesn't mean I'm not going to be a dumbass and intake
Fair
all of their content.
Fair enough. I see what you're saying. Yeah. But I'm just the way that I appreciate this movie when it or that line is.
I think I said I thought it was better than the first one.
Yeah. I remember you did say that. Yeah, and I 100% agree. But I think the significance of the scalpel thing is like he's exposed to the other versions of himself, where he's just like, oh, well, you can't control your power, so he starts to take America's power, and then that version of him dies. And then he runs to another version of him that's utilized the power of the Darkhold, and they have that cool music battle. But it's like he's constantly at war with himself, and that's, I guess, what these other strangers signify. And they're all of the mindset like, oh, I hold the scalpel, I know what's right. So you had the one with that established the Illuminati who eventually gave up and got killed by the guy who could speak, and then the guy that he faced off against that he ended up killing, got dude with 3 eyes, and the version who got killed when he was dreaming in the beginning, and he was trying to take America's powers, and America was like, I don't know if I could trust you. Mm-hmm. And at the end, it's like a similar moment came up as like a culmination of all those things. And it's like, oh wait, well he's using the Darkhold and he's thinking, oh well, I got it though. And he's fighting against Wanda, and then like there's this moment where he's just like, oh, I should just take America's power. That would be the best thing for it. And he doesn't even propose it. The Sorcerer Supreme does, Mr. Wong. He's just like, dude, this is the only way. So what we got to do? And he's just like, yeah, you're right. And he's about to do it, about to hold the scalpel. Yeah. And then at that moment, he decides, you know what? Instead of doing this, I'm gonna put my faith not just in myself, but I'm gonna put my faith in other people. And that's something that I've never really seen him do before. Uh-huh. So it's like, and so that was
a little cheesy.
It is a little cheesy, but I like the whole.
How they did it, it was cheesy.
Yeah. How they did it was cheesy. The overall message about like, okay, I'm gonna put my faith in other people, not just trust my own power.
Some of it was just lazy for emotional things.
Yeah. I'll subscribe to that.
Because you could have planted it a couple of times.
Yeah, 100%.
Where he's like seeing aspects that he sees in her. I'm like, I think she's, capable of more than what she is, or something like that. And then it leads to this final thing where it's like, no, you know how to handle this power, da, 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 da. And then it'd be like, oh wow, that was great. Instead it was just like, instead it was just like, you could just kill her again like you did before.
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna randomly have this emotional connection with her and let her know. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Like it would have even if they had nothing throughout the movie, and like that moment came up, and he says that, and then he thinks back to like the previous movie, like Spider-Man: No Way Home.
I guess I'm just being overly critical.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I might be overly accepting like everything that happened and praising everything that happened. But like I hear what you're saying though, because it's you're 100% right. They could have done it in a better way. Like if they even had like a montage of moments that he could have trusted or should have trusted other people, like, and especially in the last movie, like the Spider-Man: No Way Home, where like he was dedicated. He was trying to hold the scout. Like Spider-Man came to him for help, and then he was just like, sorry man, I don't have the time stone. And then Spider-Man was like, oh, okay man. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I can do something for you. He was just like, I can fix this. And so he tries to fix it, and then the multiverse and all that jazz happens. And then instead of blaming himself, he's just like, well, I didn't make a mistake. It's your fault. He's like, oh. And MJ even called him out, like, well, isn't it? Aren't you the one that wrote the spell? He's just like, anyways, go fix it. And then he's in the midst of like trying to send everybody back to the timeline, and Spider-Man outsmarts him because he knows geometry and shit. And he takes the thing away and blah blah blah, story. And at the end of it, he's trying to close up all the universes are opening up, and he's trying to close it up. And Spider-Man's like, oh well, how about you just erase everybody my existence from everybody's memory? And he's like, nah man, I don't want to do that. And it's not like he didn't. Or it's assumed that it's not like he didn't think about that. It's that he was like, oh, I'm the guy with the scalpel. I can fix this. I can do this. But the moment that Spider-Man did this, it showcased like, oh, he's selfless and he wants to do the right thing. And he ended up being like the ordinary Spider-Man, like alone, and nobody knows him in the city, and his friends are all good. And Doctor Strange ended up being like, wow, okay, well, I'm gonna trust in this guy's judgment, or like I'm gonna let go of the scalpel, and instead of like me trying to fix it, I'm gonna do this because this is a better way. And I just didn't want to do it because selfishly I wanted to fix it and I wanted to do what was right. Like if there was a callback to that movie or that moment in this movie, even like in the series of flashbacks where he's just like, okay, and then he just like let go of the scalpel, and then he talks to her, then it would have made it infinitely more better, and it would have taken maybe 30 seconds. And so that would have made it way more phenomenal than it is now. But the fact that it didn't is like you said, it's like it's a lazy, cheesy, yeah. So yeah, I follow. But that's the way that I look at that moment.
Is she like a new character now?
I am assuming because she's training at Kamar Taj.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's gonna be lovely.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I'm sarcastic.
Oh. I take everybody literally. Like, yeah, man, I'm very interested. Like, yeah, it's super powerful. Yeah, man, who knows what will happen?
I'm really excited. I'm just like kind of over this.
But that was a big thing. And then they had the what you call it, the good book that got destroyed, the Book of Ashanti. I was like, oh, that's dope.
Ashanti?
The Book of Ashanti?
Yeah, I thought you said Asante.
Nah. I think they said Ashanti. I think that's what it's called.
I think it's Vashanti.
Fuck. That'll make it less cool. Because Ashanti is one of the tribes in Africa, or kingdoms that my people hail from. So it's like, fuck yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of the singer.
Oh, yeah, Ashanti. Copycat. Oh, shit. It is Book of Ashanti.
Yeah, there's a V.
Man. Fine. Whatever. I'll take the R&B reference. Oh, you got the scalpel thing. I'll give you that. Whatevs. Oh yeah, and then just the scariness and the fucking
I like the jump scenes.
Yeah, when they're going through. But what she's talking about, every night is the same dream and every day is the same night. I wake up to the same nightmare. and like the whole concept of like walking between worlds and like your alternate self and like the spookiness element of the Scarlet Witch. I'm just like, oh fuck, like this is good. I like this. But so that was dope. And then last thing I'll say about it is the whole Illuminati bias, like because their Doctor Strange was so bad. It's like the way that they perceive like threats, like, oh, we established this thing to combat existential threats to the multiverse, They have all this technology, whatever, but they have all this intense bias towards Doctor Strange, and it doesn't sound like they ever encountered any other Doctor Strange, but they're just so butthurt about their Doctor Strange, understandably so. But it's like they didn't really have any track record. They're like, oh, you're in our experience, you're the greatest threat. And it's like, oh, there's the Doctor Strange from this timeline, the Doctor Strange from that or this universe, and from that universe, and we.
Yeah, that also didn't really make much sense.
Yeah, it was just like, oh wow, that lazy analysis isn't. I expected more out of the Illuminati, or just yeah.
Also, I thought that was kind of weak.
Yeah, it was.
Or I guess it was more of like a funny line. But then I think as I kept mentioning it, I was like, okay, but what is purpose does this serve?
Yeah.
Like if they just said it once, I thought it was hilarious. And then the more I heard it, I was like, okay, this is stupid.
Yeah. That's another thing they could have done. Like another 30-second clip. Oh, there was this one. The time when we dealt with this one. Oh, this guy died from the result. This person was severely
injured. Didn't even need to do that.
Yeah, well, I'm saying they could have.
No, they literally just could have said, we've experienced more than one of you before, and we don't like it, or something like that.
Yeah.
They literally don't even need to give an example. Just make reference to the fact that there was more than one, and we don't trust you.
Yeah. That would be dope. Ugh. But yeah, they didn't even. I don't even think they alluded to that. So.
And how did it go from, like, I'm so super critical. How did it go from, we don't trust him to, well, now I'm just going to kill him?
Yeah. We don't know what you're about. We're about to do this experiment.
He starts by saying my brother, gives him a hug, and then it ends with him saying, I'm just going to try and murder you.
Yeah. It's a little off the deep end. We've done it before. It's like, okay.
And how did him falling, like, he should have been able to get out of there. Because he still has magic. Like,
yeah.
Oh no, I fell in a 7-foot hole.
Oh no, I guess he was chained up. I guess that thing.
Oh, he was. He was still hooked to the gargoyle like head thing. Okay, never mind. My apologies.
Yeah. Oh god, and also forgot. Dude's dress was immaculate. I was like, oh, that's dope. But that bias just like ties into like I guess everything else that we talk about within the purview of this podcast about how people are just so ideologically locked into one thing because of whatever is going on, and it's always fun shit. But then I was doing research on Disney overall, and I didn't see like Disney saying anything crazy about the Parental Rights Act, but I saw like a lot of people who were commenting on it were saying a lot of wild shit. So I was just like, oh, okay. But
the company itself didn't give a statement, but like
yeah. Well, like I mean, the statement he said it was like, oh, it was immoral. He said that the bill is immoral, and I'm trying to like imagine what the argument is against the bill, because it's like it's really hard to imagine like. We need to teach these kids about this shit. They need to know how to guys fuck each other in the ass.
Licking asshole is okay.
Yeah, like that's just such a weird topic to bring up. I don't get it. But then I thought about what Disney's doing with all these other movies or like these shows. Of like, oh, the two moms thing. It's like, oh, okay. So like they're trying to, and I like tried to decipher some of the stuff that people are like arguing against it, and I was like, okay, so like, what are they trying to get to? And they're like, oh, it's like they're denying our existence as a people. Like, oh, because there was a lot of Disney employees, and the president. First, it started with the former president who said something against it, and then the current president was just like, it is what it is. And then like a lot of employees like had a walkout, and then he had a town hall, and then they had a back and forth, or in the town hall, a lot of people were talking about how it's Disney historically, blah blah blah, not standing for people, and how they're demanding that it takes a stance now, and it's not right that we don't do more. And then he was like, all right, you know what? Yeah, we should do more. I'm sorry for not doing it before. And so he took that stance, and I was like, oh, that's pretty measured. But then, but the way that other people, like Disney employees, were talking about it, they were talking about, oh yeah, it's because it's denying our identity and stuff like that. And I was like, wait,
What does that have to
what
do
are we
with the
talking
kid?
about? Yeah, so like I take it like the
That's so weird that they need to like interject their personal life into a child's.
yeah, man. Like I was really struck.
I just remember growing up. How was your weekend, Mrs. So and So? Oh, it was nice. What did you guys do? Like,
yeah,
they weren't like, yo, it's not my job to like tell you like
yeah,
what I did.
yeah,
I blackout drunk and fucked two guys. Like, I mean, it's just weird.
yeah, man.
Like, unless something like big happened. Like, oh, my son just graduated from, UCLA. And it's like, oh, wow, that's really it. It's like,
Yeah, I went to
more
the
so like,
stage.
oh, I'm proud of this moment. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, my daughter actually got married over the weekend. And I was in such and such.
Yeah.
Because we knew, because maybe her daughter came in at some point to like give her something. It's like, oh, this is my daughter. Oh, hi. And then
Yeah.
there's some type of reference point, but it wasn't like, well, this is what my whole entire family did, and they're our friends, and this is all their names and their street addresses. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about these people's lives.
Yeah, that's true, man. And it's like, and or even if you did, or like you had someone who
I might know if they're married.
like that, like it's not.
Like, I would know if they were married because of pictures in like the wedding room.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, we did this together, blah blah blah. But it's like going in depth about like the sexual orientation or stuff like that. It's like I had no idea. Like I remember,
Especially the single ones.
Yeah.
That's more what I'm saying. It's like,
follow,
okay,
yeah.
couples, I get it, but like you're married and you have a picture of your spouse, but like these single people, like I never knew the dating life of any of my single teachers.
That's a good point. I wonder how many married teachers, be it gay or what. I doubt whether or not like there's I have no idea. I have no interaction with anybody in this realm of that, like a teacher who happens to be part of the LGBT community but married. I wonder if they're as gung-ho about talking about these things with students as people who are
It doesn't
single.
fucking matter.
Yeah, but I think it does. My point is that I don't think that people are.
But that's going to be a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, it's just the way that like I had this uncle, like he was a family friend, but like we were in Chicago, and he would take care of us from time to time. My folks were busy, and he was gay, but I had no idea. But like there was like a couple subtle hints, but he would never be like, oh, I have to indoctrinate these kids into this thing, because he had the stability and the respect for like, oh well, this is not something for me to explain to you, to talk to you about. And like we were super close, like he's family. But like I remember one time I was a kid, and I was just like, oh, how come? I was like, oh, one day you should get married, and he's like, nah, I don't think that's gonna happen. And then I was just like, oh, why not? Like, oh, you're like, you're handsome, you're like nice cut, he had a nice job. I was just like, why not? He's just like, it's just not like some people get married, some people don't. I was just like, oh, okay. And I never really understood it until I got older. I was like, oh. And then marriage laws back then wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
But then he got married, and we went over and we celebrated, like, oh cool. And it was like a big moment for him, because he's like, wow, like everybody's accepting this, and now we could do this thing. And like this guy that we've been steady with for a while. Like, oh nice.
Steady with.
Yeah, but I think that's different than
1960.
yeah. But I think that's different than somebody who's just like fresh out, like just like a Twitter warrior, keyboard warrior out here, just like single and doing the thing, like without that level of stability, like demanding that the world folds to their will.
I'm just saying the point
Well,
is,
who knows?
I didn't know the sexual lives of my single teachers.
Yeah, and like they could. It's not like you're against them or anything. It's just like there's other stuff that we gotta go to. Like, you're not gonna sit there all day and like talk about the weekend.
Just
Like,
why are you talking about who you're dating?
yeah, it's wild. I mean, at least like if the reaction was, oh well, I feel like I don't think it's okay. It sounds like this bill is denying the rights of or denying the existence of this group of people, and then like it's important to indoctrinate or to showcase kids when they get to that level where we're talking about this stuff, to showcase that there's other things going on outside of a traditional a relationship. And so it's like, oh, okay, but like that's a measured, like, calm, easy approach to go about. And it's like, all right, cool, we advocate for that, but like to be vehemently against showcasing 5 to 8, 9-year-olds about like sexual orientation, I think that's a little extreme. And I think I don't think only the most fringe elements are really battling against that. I think for the most part, even people in the community who are just like measured, established, are like, oh, all right. One
Right.
part. Yeah, I got you.
We're past the little spicy edit that I needed to do.
But no, like what you were saying was valid.
Oh yeah, so I was saying like what is it? A valid argument against it would be like people just taking liberties with it, where
I just have it close.
Oh, it's just the audio?
Sound, yeah. One day upgrade. But at least a valid argument against it would have been.
People taking liberties with it. So like if somebody just happens to be gay, and if that happens to come into discussion because like they went on a trip with like their spouse, and then they have adopted kids, or maybe they were like telling the kids like, oh well, you know, we how was your week? Oh, we recently those adoption came through, so we have a new this, and then like they could get in trouble for that and like get fired. Whereas like they're not actually trying to talk about it. It's just
something that came up in regular conversations. Like, oh, I didn't know that I couldn't.
They're not teaching
cool
it. They're just like,
I want to talk about my husband, but because I'm gay, it's like I'm not supposed to mention it. And like,
but they don't even give that as the argument.
Right, and that's the
It's
problem.
like I can't talk about gay, and it's like, but why do you want to?
And that's like
you're teaching. You're supposed to be teaching them the alphabet and what 1 + 1 is.
A, B, butthole, C, D, E.
Finger goes inside and plays with the P. Prostate.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't see anybody like. I'm sure there's plenty of people from the community and like that are established, because I've looked for it and like I couldn't find like it's all the arguments against it were like these fringe radical assumptions of what the bill is.
If we can't talk about non-binary people, then what can we talk about? I don't know. How do you spell fish?
With my dick, asshole. It's like, all right, you win.
They're
I'm
6.
sorry, bro.
It's so weird because like the age isn't even like weird. It goes up to like 8 or 9.
It falls in line with exactly what we talk. Like we don't talk about STDs. We don't talk about sex prevention, or we don't talk about any of that until they're in their 4th, 5th
Start
grade.
going through it.
Yeah. Well, like it falls in line with established policies nationwide. So I mean, it's not even, and it's not like a nationwide instituted policy, but it's like across state lines. Like every state has agreed, like, oh yeah, we're gonna start. Not every state, but a lot of states have agreed, like, oh, this is something that we should start talking about in
this
4th, 5th
age.
grade. Yeah, when they're going into secondary or going into middle school. So it's just, and I've tried looking for like a rational argument, like you were talking about, like, oh yeah, well there's these elements, or we're concerned about this, but it's like,
It's either not even what the bill is, or it's just completely gross mischaracterizing what the bill is intending to do.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's people out there who are making like measured critiques about the bill, but it's just not what everybody's getting fired up about or going behind. It's not even getting enough support to be visible on screen anywhere. So it's just damn it, Disney. But that's different. Like, so Disney, like, I don't think so. Disney hasn't said they said, oh, they think it's immoral and they had the town hall, and they said that they're gonna dedicate their resources to stopping the bill or blah blah blah. So it's like, okay, well at least it's a measured approach from Disney's end, where it's just like, okay, well you don't want to support the politicians that are against this thing fundamentally because you want to draw that line in the sand.
Yeah, but you know what they want to do.
Yeah. No, I follow, and but it's like if they're just making that line in the sand because for whatever reason, it's like, all right, cool. As long as they're not, I think if they're misrepresented the bill or if they were like.
But the people that work for Disney that speak out do.
Yeah, and see, they're not punishing that kind of behavior, and that's an interesting.
Because the whole thing is just
Oh,
promoting.
should they? Oh, that's a curious thing. Should they punish that behavior? Or I think they should control the net. Like I see what you're saying. Not that
It's
they
just
should.
like what Netflix just
I
did.
heard, oh,
You want to
Netflix is
protest?
fire.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
that was a fire move. They're like, hey, depending
exactly
on your job
because
description,
of how those people react affect their bottom line and the amount of money that they make.
Yeah, and I think if Disney, not that Disney should punish people who speak out against it.
This is
because
what I've
that's
been
not right.
talking about
But,
too and trying to tell you.
No, I'm trying to map out in my head like the most ideal situation where it's like what Netflix
Chill the
did.
fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like take a measured approach, like control the narrative of where you stand as a company, and it's like we said last time. It's like it doesn't seem like Disney's trying to have a solid conversation about this, or they just want to whatever
It's
they
all
want.
politics.
Yeah,
and
whatever that group wants, we'll follow them.
That's
yeah,
why
whatever
I
they say.
don't care what DeSantis did with punishing them. They want to play politics. Let's play politics.
Okay. I see what you're saying, but it's just
Because this is the game that they want to play.
I think it's better though to just call them out. Just be like, hey,
Well, it's not.
I think so.
Well, how did that get us?
I mean, but I don't think it was done though. I don't think like it.
You don't think people were speaking out about this 5 years ago?
No. Not
They
people,
got fired and lost their jobs.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like. Oh wait, you talking about like people in Disney, or are you talking about people?
Talking about everybody.
Oh.
Everybody that spoke out about this lost their job and their careers were ruined.
Huh. No, but
So you fight fire with fire.
no. Well, I'm thinking like from.
You want to have like an
the sense is-
ideological discussion with people who are hell-bent on fucking your life up.
No, well, I just want to. I want to pull them back into like, okay, well, let's
Pull
have
them back into what?
the table. Of
They
having a
literally
rational
want you and your
discussion.
family homeless.
Yeah, well, I'm just like, no, I'm talking.
How do you
about,
respond to that? I want your real opinion.
It's like, well, I don't. Think
If you
mine-
spoke your mind, they would do, and you were like a figure.
Yeah.
They would do everything they could to make sure that you were homeless with no money and your children would starve to death.
No, I follow, but I'm saying, but like since you control the narrative because you're the one to put forward this bill, so now they're reacting to the bill, not necessarily something specifically that you said against it, but like you could bring that up in the discussion because now you're
Okay.
just rebutting their lazy.
We like what
acknowledgement.
Netflix did because they're
Yeah.
like, stop trying to judge what content we have because it's not always going to be something that you like.
Yeah.
That was essentially the thing.
Yeah.
How did they get to that point?
They were reacting to the way that people were reacting when they were like doing the walkouts or like trying to protest.
But I'm
the
saying
post
they,
thing.
that didn't just happen once. This has been happening.
Right.
And they've lost like a third of their market. Like $85 billion in like revenue is gone. Or not revenue,
Subscriptions.
no, not subscriptions. Their stock price has
okay.
plummeted.
Yeah.
It's like 40% or 50% or something like that. So like half their company is gone.
Yeah. or at least.
That's what I'm saying. It takes fucking them completely over to the point where they have nowhere else to go, and they're like, this cannot last.
No, well, I think Netflix took a measured response where they're just like, okay, well, like this is what
It took a measured response after a disaster.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like,
This didn't just happen and everything's going good for Netflix, and they were
No,
like,
I'm not
hey,
saying
you know
that.
what? Let's just have a really good even keel.
yeah.
It took a cataclysmic event
Yeah. But I'm
that
saying,
took place over a few months.
yeah, but I'm saying like if your kids acting out like because like they're acting like children, like the people are like, I can't believe we're making this and it's on our platform.
No. This is, you haven't disciplined your children. They're 17 years old, and they've just told their mother to go fuck herself, you stupid cunt.
Yeah. So like in that.
So how are you responding at this point? Because you've been a bitch parenting them up until this point.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we're taking a car ride. We're stepping into the ring. We're putting on boxing gloves, and then you could say whatever you want to say. I noticed that you have some things on your mind. I want to hear what you have to say. No, but I'm saying like Netflix was they're like, all right, this is the conversation. Like, hey, this is what we do.
Who gives a fuck what their conversation is?
I think
how are you getting to the point of it?
Because
what has Spotify done from the beginning?
Hold on, but before Spotify, like I would do Netflix, Disney, and then we could go to Spotify. But with
I'm just comparing. What has Spotify done? And compared just into Netflix.
Well, Spotify is like, hey, this is what we put out here. This is our thing. This is what we're doing. Like, that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
it took nothing to get Spotify to that point.
Yeah. Okay.
Spotify's been on that point.
Yeah. No, I follow what you're saying.
So Netflix, how did Netflix get to that point?
Well, they put out the stuff, and then there are elements within Netflix that are like, oh yeah, well I'm raging against.
I'm saying it took years for them to get to a measured response in dealing with things.
But that's what I'm saying. Like they don't.
Half their market value.
But it doesn't have to take years. Just it should be the immediate response. As soon as people railing against Dave Chappelle. Yeah, but it should have been like the same way Spotify, like the so.
You're asking to change the entire culture of an entire business.
I'm asking adults to be adults, and if other people are acting like children, then the responsible adults, bring them to the table. Like, okay,
but that's a hierarchy. Look at Twitter.
No. Okay, now we're jumping around. Hold on, let me. Wait.
You were trying to
first Spotify. So lose Spotify. Like for Spotify, it's like, hey, right away they're just like, we don't have a policy. We're not going to do blah 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 right off the bat. And I'm saying that's what Netflix should have done. The statement that just came out, the memo that just came out, should have came out immediately after everybody was challenging a walkout.
Why?
To be an adult. So it's like, hey, you guys are acting like children.
That wasn't what they were trying to do.
No, but they should have.
Why?
Because just have the.
But they weren't doing that.
Yeah, like they should showcase.
You're missing the point. You're missing the point.
How so?
I'm using Twitter as an example. Is what should Twitter do?
As response to what? To the Elon Musk thing?
Anything that all of their criticisms. What should they do?
Whatever they want to do.
And on how they've been handling things.
Whatever they want to do. It's their company. But I'm saying, like, if you're asking
so the free speech angle doesn't exist.
Whatever they wanted. So if that's what they want,
they have a monopoly on the discussion on the internet.
But if they want to have a so bring everybody to the conversation. Hey, this is the way that we should talk about things.
Why would they do that? The entire business model isn't set up for that.
But
you're asking what people to showcase. But that's not the culture. That's not even what their mission is.
You're because it's like, well, Twitter.
Have you paid attention to anything about Twitter?
Yeah, hell yeah. but we're bouncing around a lot. So I want to go back. So like first, I want to backpedal a little bit.
You're being irrational by saying people should have a discussion as an adult.
Being irrational. Let's say people should be rational.
That's like saying, but no, you're saying like, oh, why doesn't the NRA just have an adult discussion? Well, because the NRA is set up to literally just promote gun use.
No, but this is what I'm saying.
Ownership of firearms.
No. So
why would they ever support or be cool with anything that does anything against that?
No, because we all owe it to each other.
But that's not the organization's built or design or purpose. Yeah, the purpose is gun ownership.
I'm against everybody across the board, regardless of what stance you feel or how you feel ideologically, to act like a child. That's fundamentally where I stand.
But you're acting like a child.
How so?
Because you're expecting other people to not do what they want to do.
No, I said the opposite. You should do exactly what you asked about Twitter. I was like, they should do what they want to do.
Okay, so if what they do is harmful to society as a whole, that's good?
No, it's not good, but society should be like, hey, that's fucked up. Let's turn it back to Twitter and start our own platform. Let's start another platform. Let's support a different platform. That's not going to work. But the only reason it wouldn't work is because there's a large proponent of society that's like, oh, it's all about Twitter. It's all about this. But if everybody could acknowledge societally, like, oh, that's not cool. Let's go over there. I don't think that's childish. I think that's very mature. I'm very, like,
I don't think you understand social media.
No, I mean, I will not argue. I will not argue whether or not how much I understand social media. I'm just talking about a measured response. So like going back, so like.
But that makes no sense. That's what I'm saying. That's childish. You're asking hey, can the RNC as a more measured response? Why?
No, not measured. So it's not. Can they do a measured response? But it's like I see. So like Spotify is like, okay, right off the bat, this is where we're at. Like, all right,
but
cool.
that's the culture.
Yeah, but like
the culture of Twitter is not the culture of Spotify. The culture of Twitter is blue-haired people that don't know what gender they are.
But it's also
so you're asking
contrary
no, it's not
getting blasted off the platform, and then people are fighting against that. So it's like you incorporate. There's a lot of other people in that too. So
you're not making any sense.
But it's like
in order for you to get to a measured response, you need a billionaire to come in and tell everybody to go fuck themselves, and now they're gonna all get fired.
No, but okay.
That's how you change it.
No, like you could like.
How do you change it then?
No. So
ideological people who are hell bent on pushing their political views onto you.
So slow you down. We're talking about like 5 different things. So let's parse it out.
We're not. We're talking about the same thing.
Okay, well let me
the behavior of people and what they're trying to do with their organizations or companies.
Okay.
And pushing onto other people, and you're wanting the people that already have a mindset of what they want to do and attract to have a more even-keeled response, which makes no sense.
Okay, well let's chop up the thing that we're talking about into specific chapters revolving around the company specifically. So first with Spotify, which like all right, so Spotify, this thing happened, a lot of pushback, and Spotify's like, we're not about that. We're not going to take a stance. This is what we put out. This is what it is. Boom. All right, so that's cool. They're doing what they want to do, and they're not acting like children. They're not reacting, even though there's people employed by Spotify who act like children and all fired up against blah blah blah. And Spotify has the thing is like, oh, we're not taking a stance. You can personally feel that way if you feel like it. Has nothing to do with what we're here to do as a company. So boom, that's what it is.
Okay.
So going back to when I'm talking about a measured response when it comes to like the original thing we're talking about with Disney, it's like okay, like if Disney takes the stance on the "Don't Say Gay" thing. They take the stance on this "Don't Say Gay" bill. It's or the Parental Rights Act, and then it's like, all right, well, we're taking this stance because we think that this thing is fundamentally immoral because we think that children should be exposed, and like if they had like a measured and like have a measured conversation where it's like, oh well, like there's a possibility that like a teacher will feel ostracized or they can't talk about this thing, and we don't want that to happen. And we also want to expose kids and make them understand that that the world is bigger than just a man and a woman in a marriage, and that's why we're incorporating these things in our movies, like in American Doctor Strange 2 with the 2 moms, and some other stuff like in the Arrow. I was gonna say the Hawkeye. So it's like, oh, like if they took that approach, which is like they're close to it, they're just like, but instead of controlling the narrative and having a conversation about it, they're just like, yeah, my bad. I'm gonna do what they want me to do. It's like, all right, cool. And at least they didn't go like off the deep end. They weren't acting like children, but they're acting lazy. So I think DeSantis, if he could call them out for like, oh, well, like, are you arguing against this bill? Like, why exactly is Disney against this bill? Are they arguing against this? Are they arguing against that? Like, it just doesn't seem... So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to the even-keel response.
I understand what you're saying. Okay. What I'm saying to you is that it doesn't make sense and it's not practical.
So you don't think that...
Netflix gave an appropriate response to how it's going to put out its content because it got absolutely obliterated financially.
Yeah, but like that's what...
In order for you to change like what's happening, you have to scorch earth the motherfucker.
But that didn't happen in Spotify. They didn't have to scorch earth in order to get to the point
because Spotify wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, but
if you're doing something, if you're like, if the CEO of Facebook suddenly just Mark Zuckerberg gets replaced and now it's an evangelical radical Christian who is just like we should be murdering and raping black people in the streets. Like, what happens for them to now have a different mindset? You scorch earth the motherfucker. You don't go, well, why would you want to have that type? No, like everybody gets off Facebook, the stock plummets. Somebody murders the CEO and like goes to prison and they're champion. Like scorched earth shit has to happen for you to change it.
But it's like my goal isn't to those. I won't bring in any more references.
If you have people walking
if you-
around with baseball bats looking for Brett Weinstein because he wanted to go to school on a no white teacher day,
yeah, but it's like
how do you change that with a rational discussion?
I'm not trying to change them. So it's like I'm trying to change people who are observing them. So like you see,
The
what
school supported it.
yeah, but
He got fired.
right. So it's like
So
okay.
how does that change?
So
they
cha-
get fired, they lose their jobs, their careers get ruined,
Yeah.
and then when they have no life, they get to turn around and go, I was a piece of shit.
Yeah, but that would require an insane amount of humility that I don't think is present in people who are that fundamentally locked into their ideology. So like I'm not trying to.
But that's the thing. People are either pushing for the ideology or they're going along with it because they don't want to seem like they're against it.
Yeah, and I think that's
You can't-
and that's what I'm attacking. I'm attacking the people who
But
don't.
you can't
who are
attack that
afraid.
with logical resolutions.
I think you can if you just
How? 'Cause
continue.
it hasn't worked until ever.
Well, I think if you continuously showcase, it's like, well, you're fundamentally flawed. Then they'll be forced with trying to they have to either go right or go left. If you force that
But
choice
that's
upon them,
losing because it's
How?
getting worse.
but I think
It's
it's
not getting better.
But I don't see that happening. I don't see anybody pushing to the forefront. Like, all right, let me pick your point apart, and then force you to make a decision
They
right or
are
left.
being measured.
Oh,
There's Senate hearings all the time about this.
not about like, all right, well let's look at this thing.
Yes, there's they have Senate hearings all the time. There's bias in this, that, and the other. These are issues we need to keep an eye on it. This
Yeah.
isn't good. Da 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 da. And what happens? Oh well, we really appreciate you. This is something that needs to be said, and then everybody jerks off and no one does anything.
Well, that's what. Well, I'm talking about like on a more local level. Like I wouldn't expect on a national level. Like that's all theater. But like on a local level, it's like on a state thing.
Yes.
It's like, all right, well,
the local level, it's violent reactions, and I don't mean physical violence.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like,
I'm not talking about like actually killing people.
despite the new Facebook
But it's like,
CEO, and
I should say extreme reactions. It's like with Virginia. Virginia's been voting blue continuously. It's been getting more and more Democrat. And then what happens? Enough horse shit happens where people are just like okay with women being raped in bathrooms.
Yeah. That's
And
an issue.
then instead of having the measured response, the Democrat wants to have the I need to, get my people like to know I'm okay with them, then like almost practically defends it.
Yeah. But that's what I'm arguing against. I'm arguing against that.
But then the state the state of Virginia goes, are we just okay with raping women in bathrooms? And then they just and then it's like this huge swing.
Yeah.
And it's like a 15% turn to go
because
Republican
because
of
that
something.
was a measured question. So now you're forced that opinion. So it's like, okay, this thing happened. Like someone got raped in the bathroom, and then so Democrats, instead of being like, oh, you know what, let's look into that. Like, oh, that's not okay.
But that's the
like,
point,
blah,
is that
blah.
they're not giving measured
I know,
response.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying so they didn't give a measured response. They went off the deep end. So as a result of going off the deep end, what you just said was a measured response to going off the deep end.
Yeah.
Where it's like, wait, so instead of being like, fuck you, we're gonna burn, we're gonna take over they're just like, wait, are you saying that we're okay
No, but
with people getting raped in bathrooms?
But that's the-
and so that forces it's like yes or no. Are we okay with
No.
people getting raped in bathrooms? It's like, no, we're not. And it's like, okay, well, they're not
That's my
doing
po-
anything ideological.
That's the extreme reaction.
Yes, but that's not an extreme reaction though. Like to say like the extreme reaction was
It's a response. It's an
yeah, but
extreme
the response was measured though. The response is like, hey, wait, are you?
No, I'm talking about people were voting that never voted before.
Yeah.
It's
That's
an
a
extreme
reaction.
response to what it was already been.
Yeah, but that response was due to a measured approach.
No, it wasn't a measured approach.
Yeah, it was.
It was anger.
Yeah.
People were angry.
But you could be angry and measured. It's possible. Like Like,
the dad who tried to assault somebody at the city council.
well, like he was because he was.
I'm not saying that he was. I'm
angry.
not saying that he was wrong or not. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that's what everybody in the state was starting to feel.
Yeah, exactly. So-
Anger and rage.
Right, but anger and rage, he wasn't out there like randomly like beating up a fire hydrant. He was like, oh well, let me go to the board. Let me see what it's about. Let me see what they're talking about. I don't even want to say anything. But now they're saying stuff and now I'm getting even more riled up. I'm not gonna lunge at them or anything like that. I'm gonna ask a question. I'm gonna share my experience. And then they denied the thing that happened to my daughter, and then this thing happened.
He went into their being angry. He did not go into their being calm, cool, and collected.
No. But there's a difference between being measured and being angry. You can
Like
be angry.
Andy Griffith,
No,
just
what I'm saying-
whistling, sitting in his...
no. There's very different. Not fighting in war are two very different things. Or not fighting in peace are two different things. Like you could be angry and not act upon it. Being wrathful is a problem. That's not gonna help anybody.
I don't
I'm
think you
about-
understand how people are thinking.
No. I do.
People are getting angry.
Yeah, but they're not
They
being
didn't-
wrathful. So like, it's a difference. You can be angry and
Bill-
measured.
the
I'm saying
bill
don't be
in Florida
wrathful.
is literally a response to the angry voters.
Yeah, and it's a measured approach. The bill was measured. Hey, we don't like this to happen. This is angry. Hey, let's take a poll. Oh, 2/3 of you guys aren't for this thing being taught in schools. Cool. Let's pass a bill to showcase what the majority of people in Florida want.
I think
Boom.
you're not understanding that we're in a culture war.
No, but I'm saying that in a culture where there's measured responses, like it's not just people charging the front line. Oh, here, let me get close before. Yeah. I'm saying it's not just people like charging the front line. It's just like, all right, we're at war.
We're going
Okay.
all over the place, and this isn't health. This isn't good.
Well, I'm saying like,
Okay, let's go back to
have them
let's
measured.
back to corporations that are worth billions of dollars trying to
Yeah.
push narratives.
Okay, so we covered Spotify, and what I'm talking about when it comes to Disney,
This is not making sense to me at all. You're talking about measured approaches to
yeah, like the
how.
Okay, so let's dive deep into that.
Tell the
So,
Catholic Church that Jesus doesn't exist. Let's have a measured discussion about this.
Yeah, so like it happens all the time.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of people who say Jesus doesn't exist, and the
To
Catholic
the
has-
church, the institution, and representatives of.
A lot of people do that.
Where are those debates?
Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris, it happens all the
They
time.
didn't debate a representative of the papal state.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Harris debated somebody who was a representative of the papacy.
Sam Harris debated a bishop in from some African country.
Jesus.
Christopher Hitchens.
I don't.
like. It's just like it's
I'm
not.
talking about the institution itself.
Yeah, but that is the part of the institution. Like a
No, it's
bishop
not.
is
Some
considered-
random bishop is not the
He's
institution.
not, but it's not. He's part. He's a.
Why are we
leader.
nitpicking?
It's not nitpicking. I'm saying okay. So like, there's a way to like. We're talking about measured approaches, right? So like, you could be angry
And
have
please
a
don't
measured.
pick Christopher Hitchens.
But
Jesus Christ.
he's a measured approach. He's not over there yelling and screaming at anybody. He's having a rational conversation about the things
I
that he
hate
thinks
you
are real and
so
aren't real.
much right
It's
now.
rational. It's
I hate
rational.
you so much. I want to punch you.
But it's a measured response, though. You know
You're
what I'm saying?
picking the worst examples.
How are those the worst examples?
Sam Harris is the worst example to pick in this situation.
For measured responses?
No,
Look at
for an example of like the comparison.
but the comparison of measured responses.
No, the comparison would be some fucking jackass on a street corner debating a bishop. Not the foremost, most forward-thinking atheist that exists.
Yeah, no, but the foremost atheist that exists.
Who's like an immaculate debater, beautiful communicator,
yeah. So he's
world-renowned author. Like, let's not
You're
pick the
confusing-
greatest standard
No,
to
but
then
you're-
go again.
no. But you're confusing what I'm saying. I'm picking the greatest standard when it comes to measured responses against someone who not as measured. So they've debated people who are less than measured.
Yeah, and nobody
So-
gives a shit about those.
A lot of people do.
No, they don't.
A lot of people watching.
How many people know who Sam Harris is?
I don't
There
know.
are more people who think Sam Harris is and hates Muslims
Yeah.
than there are people who like his work and continue to intake it.
Probably, and I think that's a response of not
Exactly.
having measured
But
conversations
everything he
about it.
says is measured. But
Yeah.
yet most people that have heard of his name probably hate him.
Yeah, but at that, I think it's because of that one, the way we're set up, like for viral moments, and we watched that one thing
Oh,
on
the
Bill
Ben
Maher
Affleck, yeah.
and Ben Affleck, and they're just
Do
like,
you understand
oh,
what
that's a
like
little
I'm
off.
trying to say? Like, I'm not even saying that you're wrong.
Okay, so you're saying
I'm
that,
saying of what
like,
you were
how
saying
to react
makes
to those
no
things.
sense.
So what?
Chris-
I don't get
Christopher
that part.
Hitchens, people think is a piece of shit who hated women.
Yeah, so like you could think he's a piece of shit, but those are all character attacks. But I think when it comes to like,
But
how do you feel about what he said?
But
Though?
you're not trying to reach someone that fucking thinks like you. You're
Yeah.
trying to reach the person that thinks that Christopher Hitchens was a scumbag sack of shit and is really really glad and happy that they're dead.
But I'm not though. I'm looking at like three people.
But that's how you're going up against.
No. But so like in theater wise, so like I'm like this guy battles this guy, and it's like it's not like this guy's trying to change this guy's mind. It's that this battle from a measured response is gonna affect the way that other people look at it. So,
Okay.
so the people who look at it, who are just like, I'm kind of curious to see what this conversation goes. I'm kind of curious about these ideas, and when they see this fleshed
Those
out in a
people
measured
don't
response,
exist.
yeah, they do. I think there's a lot more of those people.
Those people are too casual and don't give a shit.
Yeah, but they're very casual and they'll tune in every now and then. But I think when they do tune in and they see moments like that, they'll be like, okay, I see everything
Okay, but
fleshed
what
out.
are those people doing?
Living their lives.
So they're not doing anything.
They're doing stuff.
Are they doing something to affect it?
But they don't have the time to play the
So
full
it's
time role.
meaningless.
No, it's not meaningless. They
Yes,
just don't
it
have.
is.
They don't have the time
Okay,
to play
well,
the
how do you
full-time
change
role.
Twitter without like crippling a
But
government?
I'm not talking about changing
no,
Twitter though.
No, I'm talking about
Okay,
Twitter.
Okay.
How do
So-
you change Twitter and what it's doing? Just have a debate with Sam Harris and somebody? Like, no. Someone's gonna come in and scorch the earth and tear it all down, fire everybody that's a piece of shit. Or it's crippling government restrictions where like you can't do anything with this free speech.
No,
And it
but-
becomes this oversight committee over Twitter.
No, but I think like you expose them. Like if you could just expose.
They've already
them
been
from
exposed and nobody gives a fuck. What are you talking about?
A lot of people care.
They
I think
don't.
That's why.
The people that care are already on your side.
No, but the people that care are now lining up for the culture war, and that's why it's happening. Like the culture war exists
Exactly.
because
It's
of
a war
entities.
because people
But
are
then-
upset.
Yeah.
People
but I'm
are
not-
like, wow, I really liked that debate. They're
Yeah.
they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, but they say what the fuck's going on because they're sitting and tuning into the debate, and they see one person like the epitome of a measured response.
Okay,
no
well,
matter
was
how
Trump a
angry
measured
they are.
response?
Hell no. Like what are you talking about? Like people like how Trump reacts, how Trump
No,
speaks.
I'm saying, was Trump a measured response?
That's so
the
general.
election of him.
Like yeah, people electing Trump. A lot of people vote
Was
for
that a
different-
measured response?
It depends on who you ask. There's like you're talking about 77 million people. I can't speak on all of them, but I could parse out like
Why
there's
are
some
you
people.
picking a political take?
You picked it.
No, I mean like a politically correct take.
Oh, I mean because I want to be as accurate as possible because I
No,
think
being
it's worth
accurate
it
would be
being,
like Trump was a massive pendulum swing.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
was not a measured response.
But some people took
People
like,
were
oh,
fed up. People were angry.
Some people were.
hated Hillary Clinton.
Some people did, but some people were just like I really
you
like
think
that
the
he's.
majority of people were just?
I don't know. I don't know what the majority of people are,
Have
but
you met people who were big Trump supporters?
yeah,
Yeah.
but
They're not. They weren't like, wow, I really like his policy.
No, but I've met people who are big Trump supporters that were just like, like it's about time that I have somebody who's actually like who's a real person. I'm tired of like I listen to some politicians say something and I have no idea whether he's really for it
Okay.
or not. But like when
The
Trump
fact of
says
the ma-
something, I like there's no question in my mind. That's who he's saying what he thinks, and he's really gonna
I
try to
think
make
we're trying to be very nice here.
it
It was not a measured response to elect him as president of the United States at all.
I think there's some people who did take it as a measured way, and I think there's a lot more rational people, a lot more measured people than you might think. I think because you're on social media all the time, it's like you what always pops up is like the most fringe elements
No.
of society. I think most people, most everyday people, they're just like, oh, I have a very rational reason because like a lot of
Because
people.
he's like one of the worst candidates.
I know, but like people look at, but
You-
a
you-
lot of so he's
Okay.
like so. For example,
No,
for
people
this
saw him
specific
coming
example,
out there and
there's
calling
a lot
Hillary
of
Clinton a
people who are-
cunt, and they were,
yeah.
and people were just like,
There are some
like-
people like that, but there's also a lot of Bernie supporters who voted for Trump, and the reason for that, like,
So they
when,
were
when you go
disgruntled
online,
and pissed off
yeah,
and angry.
But when you look at but they took up. It was measured though. It was just like, oh, well, am I gonna measure or am I gonna vote for the person?
What do
who
you consider? What do you consider? I'm gonna, what
a measured?
do you consider measured?
Like someone who's not
Because they didn't go out and like take a crowbar to some Democrat's head and open it up on the concrete.
That's pretty measured. If by not doing that is measured. But yeah, like you could be angry. Like it's legitimate to be angry. It's not legitimate to be wrathful. Being wrathful is childish. It's weak. Being measured, you could be angry with it, but it's
So that's not a definition of what it is.
measured is not. That's not a definition.
No. I'm talking about an example of it.
But based off the definition, I think it is like oh.
I think you're getting way too tied up in what the definition is.
But that's how we have to. You have the words have to mean what they mean.
I just can't believe you're telling me that Donald Trump was a measured response.
I'm saying that
That is absurd.
I'm saying that there's 77 million people that voted for him in the last election. Not all of them are like fringe, like screaming and angry at or wrathful.
It was a clear anger against the establishment.
Yeah, but you could be angry and measured. You could be angry and measured. at
Okay,
the same
was
time.
Hitler a measured response?
Like, okay, so we're talking in general. So
Was Hitler a measured? Because your definition of what you're telling me is Hitler was a measured response.
So like Hitler, like the like his rise to power, his like
His
when he
rise to
invaded-
power was a measured response.
Yeah, it was a measured response. After the events of World War One, and like
No.
Yeah.
It's you can explain it. It's
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah.
It's not measured.
Okay, so imagine this. So if you're in a country and that was involved in this war that that erupted
No.
across the continent,
It's an understandable response.
yeah. So like
That doesn't mean it's measured.
yeah, so you could understand someone being wrathful, but that's not the same thing as someone being angry. But I'm saying like he rationally rose to power, and then like because of like all the things that were happening, all the things that he
I do
represented, and all the things that he did for the country.
Rationally would be understandable, I guess.
Yeah, rational under like people like he came into power under rational means it wasn't a coup d'état.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like
It's
it wasn't.
understandable of how the German people went that direction.
Yeah, but you could also
It's
understand
not a-
coup d'états.
That's not a measured response.
Okay.
To go pick a borderline fascist who then goes on to murder millions of people.
But that's not what he represented. So for them, the measured response was, okay, well, let me
But
follow
he
this
represented
person.
radical ideas.
Yeah, but for
So-
them, they're like, oh, well, we need something radical to change the current state of things. So, but that's different.
That's not a
than-
measured response. It's an extreme response.
No, but it's measured for them. So it's like they were like, okay, well,
It's measured for.
Yeah, like if I live in a shithole.
So is it a measured response for a pedophile to fuck a child?
No,
Why not?
because that's crossing the line.
Why is it crossing the line?
Because it's unlawful.
But it's something that they want to do. But laws are just set up by governments and societies.
they are
They're imperfect.
for a reason.
They're imperfect, though.
And so are people.
They're
but-
social constructs.
Yeah.
So
they're
why
social
is it-
constructs, the same way that
Yeah, but that's-
race and
Okay, is it a? It's a measured by your logic. It's a measured response for a pedophile to have sex with a child.
no, that's not measured.
But that's what they want to do, and that's how
Okay,
they're feeling, and that's
so
what they're drawn to.
let's do
That's
definitions.
but that's
What's
the
your-
rational response.
Okay, so
I'm sexually attracted to children. I want that. I desire that.
Yeah.
I can't help it,
Yeah.
and then I act on it. That's not
No,
a
no, no,
measured
no.
response.
No, because
why?
you're comparing anger to wrath. So like you could be a pedophile, you could have those inclinations and not act on it. So the same way you could be angry and not be wrathful, you could have those inclinations towards little kids and not act on it. So like the difference is in that act is what the difference between measured and unmeasured. So like a pedophile who acts on it versus someone who has those inclinations and like, you know what, I need to take myself out of these environments. I need to go get myself checked out. I need to let somebody know. I need to go through some level of therapy. I need to stay away from these situations. That's measured because lawfully under the guise of where we operate as a society, this is not okay. So I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna learn how to deal with this, with the feelings that I have for this, and deal with this here. That's measured. So like you can have like you could be internally angry, like with the Trump example, people voting for Trump or people supporting Hitler. People could be angry and upset and they want something radically to change internally, but we're not all about thought crimes.
I don't understand how you get to Hitler being a measured response.
Okay, so I mean,
because it's not measured.
We could go through it, man. Like, where do you want to start? Because
you're combining understandable and measured.
Okay,
it's
so
not a measured response to pick someone who has a nationalistic fascist mentality.
Yeah, but it's
I'm going to bring back Germany to greatness, and this is going to be about Germany. That's not a measured response to go like, oh yeah, well no, that makes sense. But it's understandable.
You can also understand when a coup d'état happens. You can understand that, but that's different than Hitler's rise to power. You can understand
because
why a dictator.
Because they went to a ballot box. It's measured.
No. But so because they operated within the confines of what's socially acceptable, but
it's not a measured response to go to that extreme of a person.
Okay, so what is your? It is if in.
See, that's my point of why I said pedophilia.
So yeah,
it's because you're saying like, oh well, it's a measured response to go with the fanatical fascist.
And
then I'm saying, well,
in hindsight, we could see like, oh, Hitler was so terrible. But if that happened right now, and we're in that situation,
he was a charismatic.
People, I think the problem
nationalist.
is that the problem is that So there's a lot of charismatic nationalists around the world. A lot of them aren't walking around doing genocide. So I mean, so if you see
they would if they could.
No, like there's a lot of charismatic nationalists they're like, oh, that's perfectly fine.
But nationalism toes the line with crimes against humanity.
No, it doesn't. We're just the only reason why we draw that conclusion is because of Hitler. But it doesn't.
Nationalistic political figures.
There's been a lot. Throughout history, there's been a lot more. No. There's been a lot of more nationalists that aren't go out here committing genocide than there are nationalists.
I'm not talking about genocide.
Okay, well, I mean, outside of Hitler,
I said crimes against people.
There's a lot more nationalists that aren't doing crimes against people than who are. They existed all throughout history. You think of Alexander the Great, big nationalist.
Did he enslave people?
That he went to war with. That's measured at the time. Like he's not like walking around like, oh, you got brown eyes, boom, enslaved.
So your example's a guy that took over half of the world.
He didn't take over half the world.
Like a third of it or something.
A third of what was known to the people of that region at that time, maybe, but not even. Nah.
He went to India.
Huh? Yeah, he didn't conquer India.
I said he went into India.
They got fucked up.
Well, by that time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not go into the Alexander.
India, China, like that was not.
I'm saying from Greece.
Yeah, he made great feats. A third of the world? Nah, like I could count. That's not a third.
Okay, I don't know.
Even the known world. Okay.
Oh my god.
Well, let's talk about
this is semantics. I literally just was just like bullshitting. I'm just more emphasizing that, like, your example is someone that went around just conquering places.
Yeah, but that's what he was.
That's not good.
Okay, so
to just go into neighboring areas and just.
It's good. It is. You're talking about bad. Good versus bad is different than measured versus unmeasured. Those are different things.
So you think it's measured for somebody to just say, I'm going to take an army and just start going around the world conquering?
At that time, yeah. Today, by today's standards, no.
That's not measured, though.
Yeah, it is. Back in that time...
How is that a measured response?
Because war was regular, everyday life for people in that time period. Just because he was an example of someone who just...
So why didn't the people of Athens start conquering everywhere?
They did. Or at least they tried to. They just didn't have the capacity. They had the ships.
Exactly. So if they did, they would just start killing people.
No, but they didn't just.
Those aren't measured
people
responses.
who conquer isn't just walk around. I'm gonna kill you and that's game.
No, I think you're mixing up with understandable and like measured.
So let's start there. So what is? Because I keep saying
because a measured response is that it was definitely okay to rape back in the day, because that's what you did.
during like times of war and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
So you're basically saying that it's a measured response to rape somebody, because there were soldiers who probably, or maybe not soldiers, but there were people who were like, I don't think I should rape somebody. Although it was very common, rape was a very measured response.
I'm not from. I guess it depends. On
That's
what
why I'm saying
part of the world.
pedophilia is a measured response.
No, because I'm thinking pedophilia in today's standards. I don't know what the culture back
Greece.
in the day with when it comes to
Very,
rape is.
very common to fuck
I
your
know.
apprentice.
I know.
So measured
there's-
response is pedophilia.
No, but
I get how what you're
but
saying
You're,
isn't
you're throwing a lot of conclusions because like there's places in the ancient world if you're accused of rape.
Modern day,
they-
it's still acceptable to have sex with children in certain areas of the Middle East.
Right. So, but now let's do one thing at a time. So you're talking about rape back in the day. It's like, well, there's places where like I know that happened within theaters of war and stuff like that. But I also know there's places even in the ancient world where they would split your nutsack open and take off your balls and castrate you if you even thought about it or if you looked at somebody a certain kind of way. So it depends on like within the context of what you're looking
But,
at.
that's
And I'm not familiar enough with rape in. Like I'm familiar with the place that like castrated you for doing that, like an eye for an eye type of shit. I'm not really and outside of war, I don't know what the
But that's what I
rape
mean.
culture was.
It was acceptable during times of war that you were going to rape people. Men, women, whatever, children, whatever you could get your hands on to get a nut off, you were going to rape them.
Yeah.
So that's a measured response. By your definition, you're saying it's a measured response. At that time, it was okay to rape.
I don't know. Because I don't know what the I don't
But that's
think
what
there
you
was-
did. The spoils of war.
Yeah. that's
Money and rape.
Yeah.
Or drinking.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
money, drinking, and rape.
It might have been. It might have been. I
You
know.
understand how crazy that sounds?
No, but it's within the context. You have to
it's
contextualize it.
understandable.
No. Well, everything's understandable. You just have to be exposed to enough of it to.
But that's the point of what I'm trying to make. It's
No,
understandable.
but
I
that's
get
different,
it.
But that's different from what I'm saying though, because I could understand a coup
Yeah,
d'état.
but you're saying
but
it's a
coup d'état
measured
is not-
response to just be like, well, I'm fighting, so I should just rape this person.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about. I don't know, back in that time, like what the
But what do you think
of
happened to stop people from raping? Well, we started
other
hanging
people with
people.
swords and shit. Yeah.
No, we started hanging people for war crimes
Well,
because
also-
it started fucking with the population, and the population would then revolt, or then spy, or like poison food supplies. So we're like, we can't have people going around raping people. So we started hanging.
See, but
people.
I'm not familiar enough.
But that's what we did.
with the
Hang.
evolution.
You would whip them.
But I'm not. I don't know if that's that's how rape.
I'm not
stopped
saying
in
that.
War. So
I'm not saying
I'm just
that
not
it's
familiar enough.
I'm
with
not
it to
saying it's a
know.
measured response to then like hang people or shit like that. But I'm
No,
saying.
but I'm saying I don't know enough about that time period of it when it comes to rape culture, like going conquering and raping and how and when that stopped or why that stopped to be able
it's
to
not
assess
because
whether
we
it's
started having war crimes.
no, because war crimes like that happened way after, like that's recent history, like within the last.
No, I'm using that as a generalizing term, like crimes of war, standards of the military, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now I know about this.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll defer to your judgment. I can't speak on it. That's like.
I mean, it
I'm
probably
ignorant to
started.
that.
It probably
I don't know.
started showing its face around like the 1500s or something like that.
Okay, but I'm ignorant. I have no
I mean, I
idea.
guess it would, and it would also depend on who the ruler was, because some
Would-
the general would be like, hey, like when we go into this and ransack this, city, like none of that. If that happened, but it'd be one of those things. It would be
Okay.
up to the
No,
person
I
in
follow.
charge on what's going to then happen in that town.
Yeah, I'm ignorant to that, so I don't know about that.
But I'm
when
saying,
I
in
say
theory,
measured-
that's like a measured response. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay,
Where I'm
okay.
getting like, oh my God, Robert, you're so close.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
I'm saying, like, I get what you're trying to say as far as measured response, but it like, you can apply that to anything for the time.
Yeah, I think it needs to be everything needs to be contextualized.
But that doesn't mean it's a measured response.
Yeah, it is because like for example, it's like
Okay, in order to develop a better connection
I think
and
the problem-
understanding with your apprentice, you should have sex with the child. That's not a measured response.
But I'm not familiar with a culture where that's so
The
acceptable.
ancient Greek culture. That's
Like I see, I'm not familiar with rape being like. I'm not.
well, having sex with kids.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I don't know.
You've never heard about this? Like Plato, Socrates.
No, having sex
How do you
with
not?
kids.
Yes.
Because when I look at
They
Plato,
fucked each other.
yeah, I'm
They
familiar
engaged in
with that. I'm familiar with that. With like the
he
camaraderie
was, like,
between brothers and
15.
stuff like that. Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yes, no, these are
I didn't know
apprentices.
that. Yeah, see,
Apprentices aren't 30, they're 12, 15, 17.
Yeah, but that's also the time. But I think everything needs to be contextualized.
But
I
that's a
think the
difference
problem-
from a measured response.
No, but if that's what was the norm back then it's measured. Like if it's not the norm, and I think everything needs to be contextualized. Like for example, like it's measured to be like, oh, like if you find so black person running around in South Carolina away from plantation,
Okay,
yeah,
is it
you
a
take him
measured
back.
re-
Hold on, like you take him back to the plantation. Like that's a measured response. Cause like it's like someone lost a shoe. Let me return the shoe. That was measured at the time because that's how some people thought about some people revered it as this is property. There are also some people who are like, no, this is fucked up on a fundamental
No,
level.
but it's not a measured
So-
response.
No, but for people at the time, because that's what the cultural norm
No,
was.
what happened?
So like
it
we're
didn't
comparing,
just change
we're
over.
comparing like I think like especially when it comes to race, like we're comparing how people acted back then and what was culturally normal back then versus what's culturally normal now.
This is
and
good.
that's a problem because I
This is
think
good.
we have to contextualize
But what
everything.
happened with the changing of how we treated black people?
Well, things changed.
Why did they change?
The laws, the wars,
No,
the
no, but
people pushing
why?
for it.
I mean, the moral implication. Why?
Oh, people fought for it. Like
No, the moral implication.
How do you? I don't know. I don't know what
People
you're saying.
valued black people as human beings. That's it.
Oh, yeah, well, but that's what the other there's.
That's I mean, like the
Why aren't we slaves? I don't get it.
that's it, like what was the moral implication as to why everything happened the way it happened?
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We realized that it probably wasn't a measured response to enslave and chain black people together and,
Yeah, but
and whip
those-
them when they didn't
yeah,
work hard enough.
But like, I'm not gonna blame the everyday.
But
standard.
that's understanding the problems of the times or the
Yeah.
situations
But
of the times.
yeah, and I think you have to.
They
utilize-
realized they weren't measured responses to how to treat other people, and then things became undone.
No. But like,
Like it used to be okay
no.
for me to beat my wife, and then eventually people were like, "It's probably not the most measured way to go about doing things."
No. Well, let me paint the picture because let me paint the picture. Not to escape by beating your wife. But like the picture, like back in the day,
We were born in a worse time.
that shit happens, you know. Shouldn't open your mouth. I can't. No, but like there's definitely people back in the day who were just like, slavery is fundamentally wrong. Like we shouldn't do this to other people. And then they were just against it from the beginning. And then there was also people who were just like, no, I'm like this is what's normal. This is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those people, the ones who think morally like, it's just like black people are property. It's like, then it's not. It's a measured response to return your property to the property owner. But like at that time, there's also people who were like, no, these are people, and we can't treat people like that. So I'm gonna start laying down the groundworks of the Underground Railroad.
Okay.
And so it's like in Harbor, fugitives fugitives from the law to escape to the north. So it's like they're both people existed at the same time frame, and both were measured responses for how they looked at the world morally. So
Okay, but a measured response in general is something that is unilaterally viewed as something that is an even-keeled decision that was made.
yeah, so I think an even keeled decision for the racist who doesn't know any better, like operating within the regular confines of the South, is different
But
from.
that's
the
his
even-keeled
individual
response.
measured response.
Yeah.
So a measured response means nothing because there's no definition to it because it
No, but
constantly
there
changes
is-
based off the individual's mindset.
So I think, but it does matter. But like, if one person's mindset is one way versus another person's mindset, then that has to be a factor in order to put
I
into
think
the
you're
greater
very
context
liberally
of,
using the word measured.
Maybe I don't. Well, let's get to that then. Let's talk about what is a measured what is the definition of it? Then we could spawn from there. Like from that, we could play games.
Measured.
What do you mean by measured? I don't know if that counts.
I would type in measured response. Oh, you did.
Measured. Is this too far down? When using a reference to the phrase
A single measure based upon my.
endpoint used to assess the signal. I don't understand. I'm not smart enough to know what that means.
It says assay.
And assay. I'm not smart enough to know what that means.
I's not smart.
Can submit it based on. I don't understand that either. Using the phrase successful screening, signal measure based upon the same thing. It means where the framework agreement has been awarded under the restricted procedure. Ish, I think I was getting to it. I don't. This isn't helping. I don't know words.
I think you're using the wrong word
Maybe
or phrase.
Well, maybe let me describe what I'm trying to say, and maybe I can find a better word for it. Then.
See, I think you're missing it. A measured response would be like, I punch you in the face, you punch me in the face.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, like you could. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Donald Trump wasn't a measured response because people were upset at the system. They were upset what was going on, and they went in a complete radical way. Just like going.
But for them, that's not radical. Like I'm sure there's some people who voted.
It is radical.
But some people it wasn't radical. Some people were like, well, I have two options. Okay. Like before, like if you're.
Do you want to call it a sprinkle of radical?
Nah, like because it's.
So it's a guy that never ran for the Republicans, was a Democrat his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
He's a piece of shit. He's got 3 wives, and he ran for a party that is literally based off of Christianity, marriage, and morality.
Yeah.
You don't think that's a little bit off the beaten path?
Well, it's off the beaten path,
Which would make it not a measured response.
Wait, so you're talking about him running for president or people voting for him?
People voting for him.
But people voting for him.
His
So
core group
like,
are evangelical Christians voting for
Yeah.
somebody who at no point really put God first in his life.
yeah,
He's egocentric.
yeah,
He's flamboyant.
Yeah.
It's all about money. It's all about him.
Yeah.
He's got multiple ex-wives.
yeah.
Nothing about him describes their values at all. So how is it a measured response for them to go with him?
Oh, because he talks about America first, like, oh, make America great again. We were once a great country. I'm gonna do this,
So
and that
they all
for you.
vote for a
So they're
huckster.
thinking-
They all vote for a huckster, and that's a measured response.
I don't know what huckster means.
Snake oil salesman, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that's all.
That's not a measured
politicians-
response. That's being duped.
But everyone gets duped on a
But that's-
national level. So
But it's not measured to go get duped.
But
Especially when everybody else is looking around going, this seems like you're getting duped.
But like, if it's not,
So if
if it's not measured to get duped, then nobody would ever would vote because everyone's duped. Everyone's playing that game on
That
that.
doesn't make it a measured response. It means that you were tricked.
Yeah, so like the frame, but the framework of which like they made their decisions. They made their decisions because they made their decisions based off of what they understand.
But that would make it not measured.
No, like
A measured
that would be-
response isn't based off of the individual.
Okay, so how do you define measured response?
No, a measured response, it comes from like almost like scientific data analysis. It's unilaterally agreed upon viewpoint.
Okay, so what are like,
The reason why I said punch you in the face, you punch me back. If everybody watched this, now granted, race aside, because that might play an implication.
Yeah.
But if people just saw, like, we're yelling, I hit you, you hit me, and then we both kind of just, like, yell back at each other, and then we just, like, kind of disperse, it'd be like, they would look at you and be like, I feel like that was measured. You know, you hit him back and it didn't escalate to anything more. And
Yeah, but you're always gonna find outliers. Like
know.
pacifists are gonna be like, no. People who are like hardcore Christian be like, no, you're supposed to turn the other cheek, walk away. Some people are like, no, it's not worth
I
it because then
understand
you're gonna get
But
arrested.
the majority
walk
of people
away.
would look at that and say, maybe violence wasn't the best part. But
Yeah, well,
your
maybe,
kid,
but I
your
just don't
kid
know.
breaks a vase, and maybe you grab him by the arm and just say like, hey, like you can't do that. You can't roughhouse. It's not good, right?
Yeah.
You were physical enough, stern enough. You talked to him. There wasn't a physical hit happened.
Mm-hmm.
If people saw like, oh, what happened? Oh, well, you know, I took him and I firmly was like, you can't do this. I'd be like, well, you know, maybe people would be like, why didn't you grab? But relatively, people would be like, seems measured. He broke something. You told him he can't do it again. You weren't cussing at him and screaming in his face.
But then there's some people who are like, well, you should have
Okay,
put your
well,
hands on him.
oh my
Like,
God,
that's not. I don't think
that's not. Jesus fucking Christ!
what I'm saying.
You do realize
I
there
think
are
I
people-
disagree with.
You do realize, okay, back to pedophilia. There are people that would say, well, why didn't you fuck that kid? You should
I'm
have
sure there's people
should
out there.
have fucked that kid. So what is it? Not a measured response to not have sex with a child? That
No,
makes
but-
no sense.
No, but I'm saying that that's exactly why. Like, I disagree with the notion. It's like, oh, what the majority of people want.
Yes, a measured response is a unilaterally agreed upon decision.
Yeah, but if it's unilateral, then
Yes, I've been dating somebody for 5 years. We have 2 kids. We decided to get married. I feel like that's fairly reasonable. It's a reasonable decision to make.
yeah. But then some people will be like, well, do
Who
you
gives a
feel-
fuck about that? It's not
There's
about that.
It might be. What if the majority of people gave a fuck about that? Then that would throw the unilateral thing out the window. Then it's like, oh no, a measured response would be not to marry unless you knew X, Y, or Z. So it's like, and then
hate you.
everybody's definition of
No, it's
unilateral
not.
is different.
No, it is not.
Yeah, because
No, a measured response is literally. I fucking hate you right now. I want to punch you in the face.
well, what I'm saying,
No,
I don't
measure.
think. I
You
think
don't
I disagree.
understand. You are. The fact that you don't know what I'm talking about means that you're not measured.
Maybe.
I'm unhinged.
Well, I would think that that's not measured. Like, so my
A measured response is literally somebody.
okay.
The whole point of it being measured is that it's reasonably, rationally thinking people who are making decisions that aren't being pushed in one way or the other by some type of existential event. That it's just like, oh, I spilled some milk. Ah, damn it. And then they clean up the milk. The person that spills the milk and goes, I spilled milk. And then they just like walk away and leave the milk. You'd be like, that's weird. Why are you reacting like that? The person that spills the milk and then grabs the jug, throws it against the wall, and just starts yelling, you motherfucker! Like,
Yeah.
people are gonna be like, that's not measured.
Right. See, that's
The-
not measured.
But the exactly,
that's
so
a
the
great- that's a great
measured
example.
response is, oh damn, I shit spilled the milk.
Yeah. But like so reacting in a way so like you could be angry about spilling the milk and then do something about it. And some people like some people would look at the person who cleans it up and be like, okay, that's measured because he's cleaning up. I could see him reacting to the thing, blah blah blah. And then people would look at the guy who walked away or the guy who threw the milk and like, okay, that's unmeasured because like that was
That's
unnecessary.
extreme,
That's
and then
excessive.
this person's
But the person
underreacting.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, the person who walks away, people be like, "Oh, that's weird," and like maybe that's unmeasured because like, oh, well, this guy's crazy. They're not doing anything. But that
Just
guy,
leaving.
but that
I
guy.
can think of Who's Your Daddy, where he just
Oh.
where he just puts the newspaper on the milk.
No, but I'm talking about like there's someone who just walks away. People look at, oh, that's weird. Like maybe that guy's unhinged. Well, maybe that guy is fucking fuming because he can't deal with. Oh, I can't believe I made another mess.
Something
I
like
can
that, yeah.
afford. And his measured response was, or he made a decision.
But that's
that
not
I
measured.
could- no. Well, he made a decision. Well, if I sit here anymore, I'm gonna be so angry that I'm gonna throw the next jug of milk, and then I'm not gonna have any milk.
I meant-
So you know what? I'm gonna walk away from the situation. No, other people, like the majority of people, will look at that and be like, "That guy's weird. Maybe he's not measured." But for him, he made a personal decision that's measured. So from
No, it's
I
not.
define, yeah, because he's just like, okay, like. Because we agree that throwing the jug, like, that's unmeasured because you're over here, you're unhinged, you're acting out,
No.
you're
You're deviating.
Okay, where am I deviating? Where's my?
It would
where's
be
the
a
point of my
measured
deviation?
response if you knew that the person had a horrific temper, and then they spilled something.
No. But what if you don't know that person has a horrific temper, but they do have a horrific temper, and they walked away?
So you're just
you and
playing
me-
devil's
no.
advocate.
No, I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm saying that I'm making a case for why a measured response is an individual thing.
No.
So, okay, go ahead.
But it's not, because it's not reasonable for people to have tempers that horrific that if they spill something, they literally need to be able to walk away from the situation, or else they will become unhinged.
Yeah, but maybe they're going through a lot of stuff.
No,
Maybe
the
they're-
whole point of being measured is that it's an average take. It's an average response. It's an average thing that happens.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this thing happened, and I'm gonna react in a way that's appropriate to whatever was like whatever the situation demanded. So, like for some people, it's just cleaning it up right away. Some people, it's walking away. So that's what I'm saying. That's my argument
Oh my
against
God.
because, like you said, maybe that person's going through so much
You do
stuff.
realize that. Jesus Christ.
Hold up, no, let me say like because like I think measuring it by what the majority of people think or believe, it's like that. Then you're at the whims of everybody else.
I didn't say necessarily the majority, and if I did, I apologize.
Okay, so like you said, like an average response, like an appropriate action. So an appropriate action, right? That's fair. So like an appropriate action would be
You do realize what the title of this is going to be called?
unhinged. Fucking milk. I don't know.
An appropriate response.
Yeah, half the fucking transcripts. Measure response.
This is fun though.
Yeah, I like
Okay,
it.
so where were you going?
No, but like for like somebody, the person who walks away, it's like not everybody would know. Like, oh, that looks weird. Like maybe this guy is unmeasured. Maybe this guy's unhinged. But maybe it's like you said, like he's like Bill Burr level of pent up frustration and anger. You're just like, yo, this thing is about to set me off. I'm about to go like
But
murder.
he doesn't give measured responses, which is why he's in the situation that is in, which is why he's trying to go to therapy, which is why he's trying to
Right.
figure out ways to not go crazy.
Yeah.
Because
So
he
what if the
doesn't give measured responses.
Okay, he doesn't give him. So what if the guy who like
That's
dropped
my
the
point of
milk-
what you're saying is that's my point about the pedophile. The measured response is to literally fuck the child.
No. That's
Yes,
not,
it
That's
is.
not. No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's his measured response.
No. So his measured response.
So he's
I'm
supposed to
talking
go
about-
against his whole will.
No, but it's not his whole will.
it is.
I don't imagine it to be. No,
I have
it's
a
not.
temper problem. So if
Yeah.
I get angry and I go da 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 and I go crazy,
I hadn't noticed.
so that means like every time I become angry and agitated, that's just measured
No, but
because it's my natural response. Like no,
no. But I'm not talking about natural. I'm not talking about natural at all. Natural is different than measured.
fucking Christ.
Measured is something very
I
different.
want to hit you with the dictionary.
Yeah, I would need to find a better definition for measured response. But well, like I'm trying to explain what I'm trying to say.
You do understand it's way too free flowing of how you're using it. It literally just fits any narrative you want, as long as the person is, as long as it fits what that person potentially would normally do.
No, but I'm not talking about what the person would normally do. Like I'm just talking about what the person like. I guess it's my bias because it's like the way that I think that people should behave. Like I think you should behave in a way that like in a respect.
So you think
in
people
a
should
way-
vote for Hitler? Like I'm so confused.
No, like you asked me a specific question about people back in the day, how they like if Hitler's rise to power, people
Was
get
measured.
behind that was measured.
I
And I'm
didn't
saying
ask if
in
it
that
was
time-
understandable.
Yeah, I know, and I'm telling you, like back in that time, for the people who
That's
were
absurd.
upset. Okay, like we'll start there then.
But it's an irrational response.
No, but okay, so what's irrational
Well, no,
about?
I'll rephrase that. God damn it, I hate you in words.
What's unmeasured? Let's,
Unmeasured, go fuck yourself.
well, like we'll work our way up to Hitler. Let's start with milk. How about that? We'll start with the milk.
You fucked up my analogy.
I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
No, with the milk. The whole point.
I didn't mean to. It was just like
That's
like,
why
I think
I just was trying to bite my tongue. I was like, I'm gonna. The whole point was that one was an incredible underreaction,
Okay.
and then one was an incredible overreaction. The one was just like he's like autistic and just like spilled it and just like blanked at the wall and just like walked away.
Yeah, but he could have been autistic, or he could have been so angry.
Why
and
are
frustrated.
you trying to figure out the emotional complexities?
I'm not trying to figure out. I'm talking about the possibilities
I
of the
want-
people who fall into that
No, this
category.
person is just a psychopath
No, but
who
what if-
spilled something and didn't want to clean it
But
up.
what if that person was Bill Burr and he's like, oh, I know that I don't react to things in the right way, and instead of cleaning this up and staying here and getting more frustrated, I'm gonna walk away and go to my therapist or pick up the phone, call my therapist about what's going on. Don't pick up that jug of milk. No, but like with the milk example, I'm just saying that. So like we.
This
we
is
can-
my example.
I know. Yeah,
Why are you digging into my example?
You sound very territorial there. I'm just.
The point is that one is an overreaction, one is an underreaction, and one is what is perceived to be as the normal reaction. It's considered what is relatively normal and sane.
Okay. So like let's
It is not.
discern what's understandable. So all those reactions are understandable, right? But my point is, and I think that this is where, and I wanted to focus in on this thing because I think this is where we look at things a little differently.
Oh.
The person that walks away, like we both agree, like we could both understand all three reactions. We both can understand the person who cleans it up, the person who walks away, the person who throws it, makes more of a mess. Those are all understandable. But I think the difference is that we both, when it comes to measured, we both agree that the guy who made a bigger mess is like, oh, well, that's not measured. It's like, all right, cool, we're on the same page with that. And then the person who cleaned it up, oh, that's measured. Okay, we're on the same page with that. And I think the little hair that we are trying to like parse in on.
But why are you trying to figure out the emotional and
I'm not-
psychological?
But I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm just saying that there's a possibility. So like instead of
Yes, but
labeling
that is not.
everybody.
That's not good or healthy.
No, I think it is though, because this is an example of how it's good or healthy.
It's good that you
Oh.
have emotional trauma that has brought you to a point where you can't function, and if you spill something, you need to go talk to a psychiatrist.
No, but what's good or healthy? Like a healthy diet is outside of your current status. So like your current status could be traumatized and all that jazz, and like spilled milk is gonna set you over the rail. But a healthy response, a good response is being able to recognize that within yourself that you're gonna respond in a bad way and to walk away from that situation. And I think that's where we differ, where you're just like, okay, well, that's not.
I give up.
I mean, we could disagree. We could stop and
This is
move
literally
on.
just pointing.
But it like I think it's important. Well, the reason why I think it's good is because I think you might skim over people, or you might mislabel or see people for this when they're really that. That's all I'm saying. Like I think that's why I'm a little bit more optimistic, because I either accurately or inaccurately think that there's more people out there who are more
But
rational, measured. than-
you're broad brushing this.
I'm not broad brushing. I'm just saying
Okay.
that there could be a lot of people here.
How
there's a lot of people
would
there.
you?
and
How would
this
you
is-
measurably have a conversation with Evergreen College, who fired a white Jew because he didn't want to because he didn't want to be forced to not do his job?
I'm not familiar with that story, but I mean
Brett Weinstein.
Oh, okay. I mean, this is like all right. But what Brett is doing right now, I wouldn't try to see. I'm not going to try to talk down the
No,
person.
but if we as a society was like, well, let's have the college systems be better.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fix that if that's their route?
just to push them into the corner, force them to make that one
Oh,
that
forcing.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but like conversationally, not like through like attacking their funding or attacking their position or attacking their status, but just in conversation. It's like,
But
hey,
you're not
are you
understanding.
saying?
They're building what are you talking about?
Like this. Like, are you saying that you don't want the?
You do realize they're making institutions within these universities that are their sole focus is literally what you don't like
Yeah.
and are completely against as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean,
So their funding literally goes to helping make sure that continues to prosper and is pushed on every young mind and every faculty person.
Yeah.
That if they don't do that, well, there's going to be a fucking problem.
yeah.
So your response is, well, let's just have a conversation.
Yeah, like the same way.
But they don't.
Absolutely.
They don't fucking want to
Absolutely.
talk to you.
It doesn't matter whether they want to talk to me or not. I'm sure the Nazi Party doesn't want to. The neo-Nazi Party doesn't want to talk to the ACLU, but the ACLU defended the right of the neo-Nazis to have free speech.
You know what the Nazis also don't want to do? They don't want to go into every institution that you exist in and then tell you what to do.
Yeah, but that's
They want to be left alone.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So
They don't want to be left alone.
But if they
They think that you're a problem.
yeah, so they think I'm a problem. So come back.
So
Come
then-
at me. Come visit me in West Virginia. You'll see what happens.
It's very measured, just physical violence.
I don't ask for physical violence.
I hate you.
It could have been come in for a cup of tea, come in and hang out with my kids. It could play video games.
Will you
It could
stop
be so
being
many
this
things.
nice piece of shit?
See, asshole. No, but
Yeah, you're an asshole. You're a nice person.
I allow people to. I respect people enough to be like, hey, you do what you want.
You do know this doesn't make
Understand.
any sense.
Okay, I'm a hardcore libertarian. I'm just like, yo, I respect you to do what you want to do. So
No, that's something different.
okay, you think that's different than being a libertarian?
Yes.
Okay, so how what's
A libertarian would be what you're saying.
okay?
Like, do what you do.
Yeah.
But the whole point of the libertarian thing is that everybody can do what they do as long as it doesn't then infringe on other people,
Right.
right?
Yeah, so
Like,
you
if
could
you- if
you
you
could have
wanna-
this neo-Nazis ideas, but if you have a problem with me everywhere I go, it's like that's fine. But if you try to act on it, then all right, I'm just gonna respond to it. So it's like that's libertarian. For me, that's libertarian. It's like it's not okay. I'm not advocating that neo-Nazis
No,
infiltrate
I know.
companies and shell people who look like me out of their
But what if they
corporations.
did?
Then that would be a problem.
But then you wouldn't combat that, but be like, well, let me get Sam Harris to have a discussion about this.
No, but I'll combat that by pointing out the fact, are you saying that I can't work over here because I'm black? And they'll go, yeah. And I'll be like, all right, cool. Then I'll expose that, let that be known. And then people are like, oh, well, I don't want to patronize that anymore. I wonder if there's any other options. Hey, that black guy that was fired from this one company
No,
for
but
being black
you would then
is
be
starting
sued.
the same thing.
Or not you, but you would sue them.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
I could sue them, or I could start my own thing, and
The
then people-
government would open
people
up
move away.
investigations.
Yeah. So that's all. I'm all for that. So what's the problem?
It literally said you were against it.
Wait, what? No. What I'm against is the government taking the fund or taking special privileges away for a company for making a stance one way or another. I'm not against someone suing the company. I'm not against the
But
government.
the company as a whole is looking to go push towards one direction ideologically.
Go
that
for
is-
it, and that's the libertarian. You want to do what you want to. You want to take that stance. Go for it.
But there are consequences for that.
Yeah, and the consequences are going to flush themselves out in your bottom line. But me as a government, your financial
Okay, but the
decisions
people
are
in the state
outside
of
me.
Florida want this to happen.
Yeah, so then that's why.
They're behind it.
But that's why.
Which means if then the state turns around and says, you know what, we're not giving you special privileges because you're fundamentally against what my state is fundamentally for.
But then now you're attacking their bottom line in order because they're falling out of
that's
line
a
with what you're
gift.
saying.
It's a gift to them. They're not
But it's
owed
not a
that.
gift as a result of Disney falling in line with the state legislator. It's a gift for whatever
That's
the
not
reason for the thing.
that
it was
is not
established 50
affecting.
years
That's
ago.
not affecting their bottom line because that's built in.
Yeah, it is. Oh shit.
No, I mean it's built in as a gift to them.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
That's something that they
not-
utilize and benefit from the state.
Yeah, but it's not as a result of them falling in line with whatever the state legislator wants.
Yes, but they didn't even have to do that to them.
They don't have to, but I'm saying that those are two different things. So if
But
your
no,
response
no.
is taking this one thing
But
away because they're not falling in
It's
line,
not a right
that's the problem.
given to them.
No, I'm not saying it's a right, but it
But you
is something
are.
that was. No, I'm saying that it was something that was. I'm saying that they're separate. It's a privilege that they were granted 50
And then that
years
privilege
ago,
was taken away.
but as a result of something that's unassociated for why it was granted in the first place, which is why I have a problem with it, because one thing's not associated with another, but they're linking it, which is affecting their bottom line. So that's a problem.
But you just said you said we're at a culture war.
Yeah, we're at a culture war, so it's fine.
This is a result of that.
Culture war, but don't get into don't be petty about
But
it.
this is what it's going to be.
It doesn't need to. What I'm saying is
What?
that
How could you possibly say don't be petty about that when the side that you're against is literally the pettiest?
For example, I'm not going to get into any kind of arguments or shouting matches with my children. I refuse. If they do something that they're not supposed to do, I'll tell them, hey, what did you do wrong? I'm not even going to tell them what they did wrong. Hey, what did you do wrong? Make them self-evaluate. Then after they self-evaluate, they'll come to whatever conclusion. I'll be like, this is the consequence. End of story.
Okay.
That's it. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to keep on telling you stuff that you already know. Fuck that. I'm just simply going to be like, this is what it is. Boom. And then just
But
go
then
forth
how
from
does
there.
that become not a measured response?
No. But that is what I just described as a measured response, and what I just described is different.
Sorry,
from
I
what
meant
Florida.
to the Florida.
So
How is the Florida not a measured response?
because one thing's not associated with the other.
But we're giving you money, and then you're coming after us.
But it wasn't. We weren't giving you money. It wasn't my decision to give you money, and then I'm taking it away because of what you did. It's oh well, I'm gonna attack this thing that was in place 50 years ago, way before my time, because you're not falling in line with what
But
I
the state
want.
of Florida, they have the ability to make the decisions what they want for themselves.
Right. I'm not against that, but the thing is that.
But you just said that you're against that.
No, I'm against retaliatory actions. So, like, if you're retaliating against their bottom line because they're not for you politically, then you're
You're saying bottom line. Like I understand what bottom
Okay,
line
money,
is.
like,
but,
attacking
this
the
is
money, the
this
finances.
is a tax benefit. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not.
yeah,
They benefit from that just because they exist.
yeah.
It's not.
Well,
like,
not just because they exist. Whatever special privilege that they got through River Creek or whatever the thing is called that they established to be able to have their own thing. You know that was set up, but that was set up 50 years ago before DeSantis and before the parental. Don't say gay bill. Pretend like I'm smarter than I am. I don't remember what it's called, but so I'm saying it's separate. So like a measured response for me, the way that I would construe a measured response is like, okay, if and we talked about this last time, if Disney was actively getting in the way of or misrepresenting the bill or inhibiting Florida from being able
But
to,
the people within the organization are.
yeah. So
The CEO did.
no. The CEO didn't. The CEO
The female, the woman.
What I saw was a man, so I don't know. Maybe I didn't look deep enough into it.
It's not a. I don't believe it's a man. It's a woman.
When I looked it up, it was
Or the president, I think, is a woman.
maybe it's I don't know. When I looked
Maybe
it up,
the
it was,
former CEO is a man.
no, so they're both men. From what I saw, let me see. It was Bob Iger was the former president, and then Bob Chapek is the current CEO or president. I don't know which one. But yeah, a quick Google search. That's easy.
I don't think you dug enough to look at what they're doing.
Maybe let me
The
know.
employees of what they're saying.
No, but that's the thing though. Like employees or individual citizens are able to take are willing to do.
But the company is backing them and pushes that ideology.
right. So, but the way that you fight against it,
That's
is
like the government of Germany saying, like, you know, we are da 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 da. We're doing all the right things. Meanwhile, people within it are like massacring Jews. But it's all like under the table.
No. Hold wait, no. That's illegal. So it's like if that's a little different. Like,
But that's what the
people
U.S.
speaking
government
out.
does.
No. There's freedom of speech, and you're able to speak out against things that you don't agree with. That's within the confines of what's
No, but if you're
acceptable. within
slandering and misrepresenting things, and then the company that you work for is low key, fully embracing everything that you believe in,
and
but then
that's
gives
what
a
I'm talking
but
about.
then gives a horseshit public statement about
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. So then I would be like, then that's the conversation that I would have. So the conversation isn't, oh well, I'm just gonna take.
I don't
this
think
away.
you understand. Like, have you been paying attention with like the
Well-
employees are pushing for policy,
Yeah, well, I looked it up.
and this
I
isn't
looked
like
up-
Disney. This is just like anywhere. Like, well, like what are you
like,
doing to push?
overall, like,
What are you doing to
diversity,
push?
what do you-
Put
yeah.
up policy and da 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 da. Like,
Yeah,
exactly. So
That's
this is companies and people are becoming one and the same in certain circumstances.
No, yeah,
Something like Spotify comes out and does like they say none of this because they
Yeah.
don't want to be a part of any of that. Netflix loses all this money and then they come out and they're like, okay, like we're done playing these games. This is done because it's if you continue to put like you're alienating people. Like there's too much chaos that's happening.
Well, but that's an interesting like did Netflix like stock go down because of the people pushing this policy, or did it go down because they kept like Dave Chappelle's and stuff like on the platform? They made their personal decision what they thought was the right direction to go.
There's a bunch
So-
of different things, but
Yeah,
but
what
with
I'm
all of
saying-
this is just extra bad press where it's just like
Yeah.
okay, like we're losing money. We need to figure out
draw a line in the
we need to
sand
put
and
out
be
content that
definitive.
gets people to watch it, and
Yeah.
if we're not making money, then none of this matters.
Right.
That's
But-
what the point is. It's,
Yeah, but the same thing with Disney. So like, if Disney wants to make this ideological stance, it's like, all right, go for it. So they're doing that, and if they misrepresented the law or whatever, then it's like then that would have been a problem. They're not. So they're just lazily subscribing to whatever the fringe elements in their company.
I'm not saying that
So-
DeSantis, it was like rational.
okay
or good, but I'm saying, like-
I'm saying it was unmeasured specifically.
I'm saying
his response.
I'm saying people today want to make this a culture war.
yeah.
Well, good luck because this is what's going to happen. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're
No.
talking about measured and unmeasured. I'm talking about this is completely reasonable and understanding. I mean, maybe not
I mean, you
reasonable,
could- you could
but I'm saying
understand
I'm
anything.
very understandable in this, and I'm not necessarily against it because I get it. Where people think we're at a war, and this is what's going to happen. You want to,
Well, yeah,
you want
I
to,
understand.
you want to push and kick my shin. Mm-hmm. Well, motherfucker, I'm gonna hit you with a bat, and then see what happens.
Right. I understand it. I mean, I think everything most things can be understood, but I don't think that was that's the best way to. I don't agree with his move to take away the special privileges from Disney in the way that he did. If he, and I'm trying to like come up with a scenario where it would have been where I would have been okay with it. Like for example, like you're talking about the employees. Okay, Disney as a corporation isn't misrepresenting what this bill is and what it's about, but some of the employees are, and that's an issue. All right, so as the governor of Florida, it's not my responsibility to make sure that the companies fall in line, even if they were against what I was saying. So I was like, all right, so Disney being against me, all right, that's fine, that's cool. If they don't want to sponsor me,
The chair of the
donate
board
anymore.
is who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I wasn't familiar with.
She's the chairwoman. She's
Okay.
She replaced Bob Iger. The
Oh.
CEO is Bob
Shape.
Chapek, who used to, but then like the second in line is a woman.
Okay.
She's the one that was misrepresenting it.
Ah, okay.
She's the one who's like a lesbian and has a kid who's pansexual
I
and
remember
another
you
kid
talking
who's
to me about it. Okay.
I
Yeah, I
think
figured that I missed.
non-binary or trans. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems odd because the kid's like they're young.
Yeah. There's
whatever.
There's a lot of that going on, but like so if
So that's why I think
is she is
she's head of the board of the directors.
so is she misrepresenting what the bill is?
She's
Yeah.
well, she's gay and her kids are both in that kind of
Yeah.
community.
No, but like I'm just saying like because if Disney
well,
misrepresented-
let's say she doesn't like it.
yeah she not like whatever
Well,
all day long.
I mean,
That's
she
fine
she
in a
doesn't
free
like it.
society. Fine in a free society, you could not like it all day long.
Jesus Christ!
But that's what it's about. Like
But you know what I mean when I say that she doesn't like it.
what I'm saying, like, has she spoken? Like, has she misrepresented what the bill is and infringed upon the? Let's find some examples of that thing, because like
She's
my
the
mind
type of
would
person that
change
would say
if-
like, this is an attack on the community type person.
I've seen that, like, where it's like, oh, it's immoral, like, we need to support the LGBT community and blah 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 blah. So she's saying, oh, she identifies with that community, and she says our community. That's not a far throw. But if they're just like, if they misrepresented the bill, if they interfered with the governmental process, then that's different. So what I'm saying,
how do you? Who gives a shit?
but like you can't, like, you're using,
Because it's all public opinion.
Yeah.
If you
So
drum
that's
up
what I'm
enough-
saying. Keep it in public. That's what I'm saying. The culture war's
That's
happening
worse.
in this public opinion space. Then keep the war there. Don't.
You do realize if you can misrepresent him enough, his fucking career is over.
Yeah. So like, if that's the
Howard Dean didn't become the president of the United States because he yelped.
But I'm not against. I'm not advocating that she can that they.
But those can
misrepresent it.
become
I'm
one
saying
and the
that-
same.
But I'm saying if they are misrepresenting
That's
it, then that's one
slander.
thing. Yeah. So if they are slandering her, like, I just haven't seen any examples of the slander. That's all I'm saying. Like, I've seen some, like, oh, they're advocating for, like, against the bill, and they're saying, as a company, they said, okay, well, we're gonna dedicate to the eradicating this
Yeah,
bill.
but they've been
That's-
fucking around and dipping their toes in all this horse shit. That's my point. Is that
Yeah, but that's different than
okay? My point is that if they're like asking you if you want to have another drink, well, not really wanting to rape you, but at the same time they might end up raping you.
Then when that happens, then you have to take action. But until that happens, then you're attacking thought crimes, which is why I think it should stay in the public discussion.
No, I'm
sphere
saying
and-
the crime hasn't been committed yet, but it
Yeah, you can't go
it's
around arresting people for. I think
didn't
he was
say
thinking about
arrest
raping me.
them.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But like,
But
that's
if I gave
action.
you a free card 5 years ago, and I was
Yeah.
like, I think you were maybe gonna rape that chick.
yeah,
I'm gonna
but-
take that car back. I don't like that.
No, but that's a problem because it's like, I think you were
But
thinking
but
about
these are-
this,
but
then you're
these are-
getting into the.
Oh, stop it! Stop getting into semantics. You know
It's not
what?
semantics. It's different.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm.
Stop fucking don't do that. I hate it when people do that. Don't dig into my words so like, you know what I
Okay, so
mean.
what do you-
I'm not talking about fucking thought crimes.
Okay, so what are we talking?
If you were at a party and some chick was hammered and I kept trying, and I was a little drunk too, but I kept saying, hey, we should take her home, and you're like, yeah, you haven't raped her, but I'm pretty sure you were gonna rape her.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's
the
not a
problem.
fucking thought
Yeah,
crime.
yeah. No. But then it's my responsibility at that point to point it out, not my responsibility at that point to punch you in the face and drag you out.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
so like,
but you're talking about taking away tax advantages to multi-billion-dollar companies,
which I'm not against.
which is why I was like, this doesn't sound libertarian to me, because
No,
like
okay.
if a billion-dollar company gets a tax thing taken away from them, I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I'm not, and again, I think I said this before, but like, I'm not against them having special privileges taken away from them. I don't think they
I
should,
know it's
I
the
don't think
manner
they
of
should-
how they did it or whatever.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't think one should be linked to
My
another.
position is I don't give a shit one way or the other.
I follow. Well, I think it matters because of like how close that toes the line to.
But this is the road we've been going down. That's my point. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, but
you're
and
acting
I'm-
like we're not.
But I want the adults to act like adults. Like you know what I'm saying.
But
like,
if one of the adults doesn't want to act like an adult,
then you treat them like a kid.
yes, but they.
You treat
I don't think you understand like that. Conservatives and libertarians have zero value in public opinion.
I don't think so. Maybe that's another point of.
In the grand
look at
scheme
it.
of things, we have zero value.
I don't think so. I think we have value. I think it's just that, like, if you compare to like the people who are
Okay,
like
zero is
ideologically
me
locked in. Like
being-
well, like
we have
I think-
little
I
to
think-
no value.
I think it's significant. I don't think it's insignificant. Even if
It is
but not-
insignificant.
I don't think so. I disagree. I think
You're
it's
not even
just,
on it.
Yeah, I'm not. But I'm talking
You're
about.
not on social media. You're
Yeah.
not on these things. So how do you have the?
Okay, I can't speak on social media. I'm not talking about social
But
media.
that's
I'm talking about
that's
just,
that's the
and-
driving force of the public opinion.
No, but I think that social media misrepresents what the public opinion is. I think public opinion is one thing, and social media is another thing. I think that people are too busy to tune into what's
But it's the
going on.
influence. There is no.
Yeah, 100%.
Holy fucking shit! But that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. The
You are
influence.
very, very particular with words. And it's so annoying.
I'm sorry.
There is no context to it
I'm
at all
sorry,
with
man.
you.
Yeah. I'm yeah.
That's
I'm
what
like
social media is.
No, yeah. No, for
They're
sure.
called influencers. What the f-
Yeah, for sure. I'm not against that.
One day we're gonna fight and I'm just gonna get knocked out.
I'm like, no, I might just walk away. I might just be like, oh, he didn't mean that.
That would scare me so much. I'd be
All
like,
measured responsibly.
like I would be like, he's coming.
Here knocks at your door. And just
Yeah, but you're like the vents creak, and I'll be like, I'm gonna look at him, Robert. Sorry, Robert.
I know you are, man. It's all good. Boom. Problem solved. By the way,
Don't drink the water.
but
yeah, so that I was talking about.
Yeah. It was in
so
the sphere of.
in the sphere of that, like of how libertarians and conservatives don't have control over narratives.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you listen to Ben Shapiro, like he's not pulling anybody, or maybe he is to an extent, but like he's not like breaking.
Like people are
the-
like, wow, I wonder what he has to say on this. Yeah.
That's my point.
I follow. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying,
I would
like-
agree with that. I agree with that.
So your points of view, like
I think
it's not breaking through into anything. That's why people will just hear something and they'll be like, oh well, yeah, well that person's racist, right? And then me and you will be like, well, not really. Like there's not really any indication of that. There's like he said this word or that word, or like there was this situation, but I don't know if I would really say that he just like hates black people. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yep, I was just talking we went out for tacos on Saturday, and I was talking to this person. We were talking about black society, culture, blah blah blah, all that jazz, and they were saying, oh yeah, what were they saying? Who's that guy who's in the white chick, the big dude? He used to be a football player for a brief moment.
You're talking about Brendan Schaub?
No. He's a big time actor now, but he was in White Chicks. He was in
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. She was saying
Jesus Christ.
Well, she was saying like Terry Crews is and she used a term. It was like synonymous with how people say Uncle Tom. He's he bats for white people or something like that. I was like, really? I was like, I don't.
It's because of that comment that he said about the Black Lives Matter back in the day, and then he apologized for it recently, trying to backtrack.
I'm not. So I was just like, I don't think he's. I was like, so I disagree with her, and we had discussions like, oh, why do you think? And I was like, well, the only thing that I was like, I don't follow celebrities like that, but the only thing that I've been exposed to was the Black Lives Matter thing, and with the Black Lives Matter thing, it's like, oh, like. He wasn't like, oh, they need to burn in hell. He wasn't saying any of that. He was just like, hey, well, Black Lives Matter, it's like we need to focus on these other things that have a stronger impact on Black lives. And the guy who was talking to him was like, well, that's just the thing, and that's how just how these things go. If you wanna make your own thing, then go ahead and do it, but you shouldn't attack them. And Terry was just like, well, I think these words matter. And da, 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 da. But I was like, I don't think that's batting for white people. I think that's just He was sharing his opinion on this.
That's another thing. It's like if
you're
not constantly saying what you should say as a black person, you're gonna get labeled as something else.
Right. And see, and the ironic thing, this discussion came up because we're talking about black people all around the world and how different people behave in different ways. And so when she went to this one thing monolithically about how you have to subscribe to this thing, and I just had a discussion. I was like, no, I don't think that this is. I don't think he's better for white people. I think he's just he just took this approach, and I was like, I don't think there's anything wrong with a black man expressing his opinion on something that he cares about.
He's got a lot of white friends that don't hate him.
Yeah. But when I said it's like I don't like.
He's with the Adam Sandler group.
Right. Yeah, it's fine. It's cool, but it's like But when I said what I said, then she wasn't as vehemently, and I'd like to believe that maybe she's sitting thinking about, oh, maybe he's not, but maybe I didn't change her mind. But I think those discussions I idealistically think that those types of discussions kind of shift the pendulum, where it's like, now next time she sees Terry Crews on this thing, she'll think twice about whether or not he's at bat for the white person or not.
But people don't vote like that.
Yeah. But I think that's
my point.
that matriculates into something that's way down the line. But I think for right now, I think like the way that you move the pendulum isn't by radically trying to affect this end result. I think it's by those small conversations on a day-to-day basis, like the Daryl Davis approach, where you're just like, no, I don't. This is what I think this is. This is not what I think that is, and then just moving it that way. And so, and again, like
No, those are very productive of what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the positions that we're at right now,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's going to be chaos ensuing.
Mm.
You're not, like, we're coming to too much of a head point. Like,
Yeah.
you got the abortion stuff going on, you have gun laws.
No, I hear you. Yeah,
Like,
And
that's what I mean, like, when
yeah.
I'm saying, like, I'm not mad or angry or think what DeSantis did was wrong, because it's just in response to just this overwhelming barrage on, like, him.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, like, I'm not even doing anything that fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
just wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Stop talking to kids about like adult things. It doesn't
Yeah,
make sense.
yeah.
And then everybody's calling him like a Nazi, and he's like, I'm like, I don't know what the hell he is, Cuban or something. Like,
I have no idea.
I know he's not white.
Oh, okay. I didn't even think about it. I was like,
Well, DeSantis,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound like a white
yeah,
name.
I didn't think about it. It doesn't, like, for me, it doesn't, like...
People in Florida like him too much for him to be white.
Oh, okay.
You know, like, he's got way too much support in Florida.
Okay. Like, I just don't, but I mean, it's cool. But that's just me, like...
Maybe I'm a
think-
racist and I'm just...
No, I mean,
Maybe he's Italian.
No, you might have a point. That's not right. It's like, I'm racist too, Richie.
So I just see it as it's like a casualty of this just war that's going to happen.
I feel you. I hear what you're saying.
And if a casualty is taking away a tax credit, I'll take that.
Yeah.
If it goes something beyond that,
Okay.
then I would have a problem. But if you're like, oh, well, you know what, that tax, you think I'm a piece of shit. This tax credit, nope. I'm like,
Okay, I hear you saying. You just think it's he's just responding to the energy appropriately. So it's just like, oh, then you're gonna do this, then I'm gonna do that.
like, just because it's a tax credit, if you're going to use your power to just take away tax benefits, I don't care, because it's
Okay.
$1 billion company. It's a
I feel
tax
what you're
benefit. If anything, then the people in Florida are going to benefit because they're going to have more money to use in Florida.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. What,
Now, but if they went after the company in some way, we're like, oh, well, you know what? We're going to increase your taxes by 5%. Then I'd be
Then
like,
that's-
well, this doesn't.
that's
this-
your red line. You're like,
that would be, if you're just
Okay,
taking away a
okay.
benefit that is just an award to you,
yeah.
then I don't like.
Okay.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna give you extra credit. You know what? I'm not gonna give you extra credit. We're not gonna
I hear you.
gonna do that extra credit paper. It's like, oh, I could have gotten extra credit.
No, I hear you.
How
I hear
mad
you.
can I get that I now can't do something that wasn't even in the guidelines and was just gonna be an extra bump to my grade?
I
That
follow. Yeah. I think the way that I'm looking at it is because I don't see it as a step towards being productive.
well, it's not a good.
That's what well, I look at things binarily through that. What's productive, what's not productive. I don't see that as a step towards being productive. So I think if he kept it in the culture war, like, oh, let's gonna have a conversation about this space. It's like, wait, Disney, are you saying that you're unilaterally against what 2/3 of the people in Florida
yeah,
are
but then
for?
they're just gonna say that the people in Florida are bigots.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, then at that point, then you're drawing that line in the sand. So now people are going to be like, you know what? I'm a bigot because I don't want my 5-year-old to be taught this. You know what? I'm going to go to Universal now instead of Disney. And then maybe another park opens up and maybe people that becomes more popular. So, like, I'm for that because that's a step towards production. Because it's like, and that's why, like, I'm not going to get into an argument with my child because, like, I'm not going to say, he's not going to say something crazy and I'm going to say something back. Or like the example that you said, like someone's like, oh, fucking cunt, da, da, da. It's like, no, I'm not going to sit there. Your mom's not a cunt. Like, no. At this point, it's like we've crossed the line where it's like, all right, this needs to be productive now. So we're going to put some gloves on and get productive. Get productive. It's like, you seem like you had a lot to say. I'm gonna push the air out your lungs.
You change respect, the song respect into productive, like PROD.
Find out what it means to me. that's where I stand. Where I'm just like I'm for I'm if he wants to be I'll just say I don't think his thing was productive. So I wanted his response to be productive. I can understand I could see Disney lazily pursuing this thing, and I think they would have been productive if they're just like, well, we're for this, and instead of being like, it's the goal of our company to do this, they could just see, we're gonna stand for this.
The problem is that the head of the directors spoke out against it.
Okay.
Which, if that's essentially Disney doing it. That's,
but I didn't see.
Now the CEO didn't do anything, but she did.
I haven't seen what she did. But it doesn't sound.
I mean, it wasn't anything
like,
egregious, but it's like it's status quo bullshit tweets and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think she's just trying to draw like, oh, look at how morally awesome I am.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Production is like, oh wait, you're making, But yeah, I just want to step towards production, and I just didn't see it. So that on either side. So
No, I know.
that's all I'm saying. Doctor Strange was cool.
I've actually seen it twice.
Oh yeah,
maybe 3 times.
Shit, oh cool man.
But if it's a good Marvel movie that I like, there's usually other groups, and if like if they're like, oh hey, you want to go see it, and if I like it, I'm like, I'll go see it.
Yeah.
Even though I know I critique it.
I'm too cheap for that. I'm just like, oh, I'll watch it once, then wait for it to pump.
Oh, don't think after the second or third time I see those movies, I go, why did I do that?
Oh, this was
because it's like it's done, and then I'm like, oh, that was good, and then the drive home, I'm like, that's $15 I didn't need to spend.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you the guy, there was a dude in the theater. I thought it was like a little kid. He was just like, oh, what are they even called?
Oh, you told me this.
Yeah, all right.
Where he blew the...
Yeah, he's like, oh, they all die. I was like, stupid teenager. And
then you said it was an old guy.
So, yeah, I mean, like, not old, but like a middle-aged.
Old enough that, like...
Like, the fuck, man?
Why did you say that?
He just showed up, like, Thursday, like, 4:00 p.m. was like, what? Silent the whole movie. That, he felt the need to say something about. All right, brother. I almost showed him the boxing match.
Hey, we need to go somewhere.
Hey, I got the cool take that you had on this. I wanted to show you something. I think you really deserve this.
If you could go to this address.
Yeah. I have a present for you, man. I want to hear more of what you have to say, and I think there's a lot of people here who would love to hear you say it.
That's such a nice way of saying I'm gonna kick your ass.
Well, I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna do it. It's like I'm not. It's pointless. I'm not gonna sit here and make punch someone in the face. You just punch someone in the face. I guess you could rifle through something real fast, but anything noteworthy that you want to really touch on? We could just jump through real quick. Just because I tried to split it up into sections, but.
Oh, Finland and Sweden joining the EU.
Oh no, the
NATO. My bad.
Yeah.
They're ramping up.
Yeah, it's getting interesting over there. Just Russia in general, because I feel like we haven't really touched on it. So I was like, oh, we could just start talking about it. Then the shooting in Buffalo.
What's white go racist, and why should I apologize?
Oh no, this is under the Daryl Davis discussion with Timcast. We were gonna continue talking about. Yeah. So that's all under that umbrella. I try to delineate it with the 3 periods.
Zimmerman fabrication.
I think there's some people who were saying that the call that Zimmerman made to 911 was the elements of that call that were fake, or that were not fake. But there's parts of the conversation that Zimmerman had with the 911 operator that were cut out of what was given. Yeah. No, it was part of the discussion that they were having.
Why did it just make him look worse than what he already did?
Yeah, or better. I forgot which what it was. I have to go listen to it again now. I don't remember that point.
Well, T's been a total goddamn letdown.
Who, Daryl Davis?
No.
Oh, Zimmerman? Yeah. That's that guy.
Because I remember when you saw the whole thing, it just seemed like a really fucked up situation. Yeah. But then, of course, he's constantly in the news
Yeah,
for being a piece of
Kinda-
shit.
yeah, it's like-
and you're just like,
I'm selling this cool gun.
oh my god.
Like, oh man, like that's really cool. Come to this address. I want to see it. I really want to hear what you have to say about it.
Oh, it's weird. His like stuff from his shooting is in the African American History Museum in the section about like police brutality.
Wow.
I think I'd have to go back and look at that again.
See, and that's goes in line with the Buffalo thing. We won't have a lot of time to jump into it, but I think it's cooler to. I mean, we could split it up like have like sections at a time, but then it's like it gets kind of hard to like title the video. Cause I'm like, what am I gonna call it? And as opposed to like having one theme.
Well, we could just. Are we doing segmented videos?
Well, I was thinking about having one big video and like cutting it up into chapters. So it's like, oh, this is this section talking about race, international relations, blah 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 blah, race, education, yada yada yada.
I think if it's a more viral one, maybe just clip it and put it into like a 10 or 20-minute video.
Yeah. I started doing that or before, but now I'm just like.
And then I'll try and get some viral, or not viral, but I'll try and get some interesting videos.
Yeah. Well, we'll do both ways. I mean, like
we could do maybe the Chuck video.
Chuck video.
Charles Barkley, the video I was telling you about.
Oh yeah.
Because there were other interesting things that he like talked about.
Yeah.
Or that they were talking about.
Okay.
Because he went into something about
I'm gonna try.
something about funding education and stuff like that, and
Yeah. I was trying to I couldn't remember the dude's name. I kept confusing with him.
who?
When you were talking about JR and I was like, is it JJ Smith?
There's JJ Redick, but that guy's white.
No, I forgot his name because I'm trying to show you who I was thinking about when you talked about J.R. Smith. But
Is he on ESPN?
yeah,
Is he a basketball guy?
he wasn't a former athlete, but this guy, what's his name?
Oh my God, Stephen A. Smith.
Oh fuck!
It's like, how do you?
J.R. Oh wow! You know,
You're more racist than me. All these black people. have
I'm
the same
terrible
name.
with names. I'm terrible.
Actually, no,
with
I'm
names,
bad with names. If I haven't seen the name like a bunch of times, I can't.
Yeah, okay. When you said when you talking about J.R. Smith or J.R., I was
Smith,
thinking
yeah.
about.
So what did he do?
No. This nothing recently, but like that's why I was like, I remember this one thing randomly when he talked about, and he's just like, that's so fringe. What the fuck are you talking about?
What was he talking about?
He was commenting on like a UFC fight, and it was just like, and he was like, this is like the worst performance. It was like the dude who fought Conor McGregor.
It's because they had brought it was I forgot. Cowboy.
Yeah.
God damn it, Corone.
I forgot his name, but the dude, yeah, he was.
I feel so bad that I forgot his name now.
Don't hey, I'm not the resource for names.
It's been so long since that fight happened. No, so that was I think the first pay-per-view or one of the first. I think it was the first big pay-per-view that UFC had when they had had that. I don't know what their deal is with ESPN, but they've got like the Fight Pass, and that's with ESPN, and they're doing all. So that was like, oh well, we'll have Stephen A. do the thing, and that's what Joe Rogan was like.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Cowboy Tom. Fuck, now I feel stupid not knowing his name.
Yeah, it's good, man. I think because he said something like, "Oh, he hasn't shown anything, or he hasn't done.
He didn't show
anything
anything to me tonight." And
that he's ready for." I was like, "What the
He
fuck
was-
are you looking?"
he was like, "This guy's like a 37-year-old vet. He's had like 40 fights. Like we know what he's capable of doing." It's like McGregor just like just. It was a quick knockout,
It's a
right?
moment.
I can't remember that shit. I think it was a
I
quick
think he
knockout.
fucked up his
fucked up his eye.
Yeah. But this is like in fights. There's moments. It's different.
Well, it's not
like,
boxing.
Yeah, that's true. Well, like even with boxing, like it's like there's like if you're watching like a team sport type of thing, like
Well, you know if someone's got
well-versed
power.
enough to, yeah.
You know if someone's got power, and then like, okay, well this guy, oh wow, he dipped in and he avoided that, or he took that left hook, but then he came up with the upper, and then he comboed him out, and then like something like that happens. But like with UFC, it's like, well,
Like
this guy maybe just prepped and knew that, hey, this guy likes coming in, leans on his right when he comes in for the first contact, so I'm gonna go up high, but then come in with an uppercut right, and then like they're like, oh well, I planned this out, and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do the same thing with boxing. It's just more isolated. But the thing is, like, in those kind of, like...
UFC, there's just so much different elements.
Yeah. But, like, in any of those, like, one-on-one physical combat environments, like, it's super disrespectful. I mean, I think it's even disrespectful the way that he talks about some basketball players. He's just like, you can't get on the goddamn court to do that shit. Like,
they're making so much money, it's okay.
They take it.
The way the contracts are met now, it's absurd.
But I think it's like it's a different element. Like when you talk about someone who like gets in a cage with a trained professional, it's not like it's like, oh yeah, I talked some shit and I did some push-ups. It's like, no, this guy's like trained to fuck you up, like to pick you apart. If you have any kind of like any lazy habits,
lifting like 120 pound bags over his head and slamming them on the ground.
Yeah. So it's like to like downplay all that effort. And the level of bravery that it takes to get in there and like possibly like there's an ambulance right outside. Like it's really like you can make a beeline if anything happens. It's like they're emergency personnel that they're like waiting just in case on standby if something goes awry. So it's just like for him to just undercut that thing. It's like that. But that's what I thought you were talking about. I was like, what did he say? When you're talking about JR. But yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. None of this stuff is anything that we could cover in a couple minutes. We're kind of limited on time, but
you should watch the video of Corey Holcomb.
Corey Holcomb.
He's a comedian.
Okay. Go ahead. Find that.
You're gonna laugh.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that was something.
Yeah. Type in Vivica Fox.
Just Vivica Fox or
Corey Holcomb. Corey Holcomb.
Yeah.
Hold the cum. And you could just play that for a second if you want.
This one?
Any of them, I think.
Alright.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Kevin Samuels, we transition into that weird. But we have to talk about Kevin Samuels and the effect that he has because I think his biggest gift happened this week, and it's unfortunate that his biggest gift to everybody happened this week. I never was one to listen to him too much because I felt like he had a taste for men, and it threw me off. Like it's something about once I know that you prefer a man in your mouth, it kind of throw me off to you. Like it don't make me hate you. I'm not that kind of guy, but it makes it hard for me to listen to you and look at you talk. Yeah. When I know you got a taste for men. So that was my whole thing. Kevin Samuels. I heard him asking something. Hey, you got a big dick? No, because I got a big dick. This is what he said to some dude.
I ain't know that video.
I never listened to
Dude, talking about the guy who's like talking about like he's trying to get advice and he's just like he didn't make any like $500 every 2 weeks or something like that. And he's just like, I don't understand why women aren't into me. He was like overweight and I remember that video.
He flirting with them.
Well, this isn't what I was.
Now, that ain't no diss to the brother. I'm right here, right? Can I get a close up? I just want him to see me when I say this because the world needs to see my face when I say this right here. I ain't the first one to say this. One of the greatest rappers of all time, Snoop Dogg, said this. I thought it was a great song that will always stand the test of time. But we good. Just let me say this. Y'all ready? Got it? Bitches ain't shit! Bitches ain't shit! Oh, funky ass bitch, the worst thing God put on this earth. It ain't nothing. Bitches are worse than who identifies with a funky ass bitch. I'm talking to you.
Jesus.
Who was that?
Ones that need, when you said if you identify with them, that's the problem is that they don't see the
The
ones
reason
that
I
have,
know they identify with a funky bitch because they was talking shit about my brother when he passed.
right. That's terrible.
That's how you know they know he talking about them.
That's terrible.
You could pause it. There's like more to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, Vivica Fox said that Kevin Samuels dying was just his karma coming.
Oh wow. I made that joke like haha, like, oh, he died from a heart attack. Oh, heart problems. But that's fucked up. It's karma. Jesus fucking Christ. Like shit just happens. Like it's just like it's karma. Like, okay. But I think some people who disagree with him or who are just like repeating like, oh yeah, I'm happy he's dead. I don't think all of them are like associated with a bitch. I think some people are just like stupid. I really think that some people just, and it's not like that's unfair to say. That's mean. I think some people aren't tuned in enough to be able to make a fair assessment of what's going on. Some people will watch like a snapshot of what's happening, and they already have locked into an ideology because it's too hard to like be able to admit, I really don't know enough about this. So they have people. Some people want to make a strong stance about one thing or another, and then they'll listen to something, and then they'll try to lock into that. But I think that's also why I'm optimistic. Not because people are stupid, but people are making lazy assessments of situations or people, and I think we need to do better. So step towards being productive.
Build back better.
Yeah. Shit, what happened?
No, I stretched and I overextended my wrist.
Karma.
I know, I needed a better measured response.
Yeah. I forgot. I just remembered I came across this one video about like accurate Disney depictions. But yeah, by the way, see y'all later. Peace. It's going off later. I might put this in the outro if it's not copywritten, infringed or anything like that. But
Is this something bad?
oh, it's like Disney related, like a historically accurate Disney princess song.
So it's bad?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Sunset, I wander through the village, glowing in the twilight and so quiet. Well, it's quiet 'cause most people died of a plague caused by jealous witches. I wander through the village and I think that my life is missing something dear. As I stop to rest and cough up blood, I wonder, when will I find my prince? I wander through the village and I notice that everyone but me has found a love. There goes the blacksmith with his daughter-wife, 10 years old and pregnant with her brother's son. I wander through the village sighing deeply, seeking guidance from the statue in the square. It's a statue of Christ adorned with thief hands. Oh, when will I find my prince? Oh, look, everyone, it's my friends from the forest, the Jews. Hello, Jews. You know, I never did ask you, why do you live in the forest? Oh, I see, to hide from people trying to kill you. Well, that's very resourceful, my picky little friends. Tell me, have you ever had a dream that you thought wouldn't come true? Oh, I see, your dream is that people won't want to kill you. Well, that's definitely a dream that won't come true. Oh, well, goodbye, goodbye, Jews. If I found my prince, we'd have a wedding elegant and rare. We'd dine on kidney cream and horse vagina, drink champagne and torture a bear. Oh, if I found my prince, the castle would be filled with love and laughter. And he'd fill me with his seed, forcibly and rough. I'd give birth to a son and then die right after. I wandered through the love hasn't given me a glimpse. It isn't in this shop or in this cart of baby corpses. Oh, when will I find my prince? When, hand Jesus? Oh, when will I find my prince? Oh, it's my prince.
Hello.
Oh, fuck.